Tonight, you don't need to focus. You don't need to imagine anything clearly. You don't need to remember every word. Just let the sound of my voice stay with you as the day slowly fades away. If this helps you relax, you can gently like this video or subscribe so you can always find your way back here. There will be no sudden sounds, no interruptions, just a calm story and the quiet rhythm of the night. Now, take a slow breath in and let it go. The story begins the morning sun filtered through the worn, lace curtains of Aaron's small wooden house, casting delicate patterns upon the floorboards. Cobwebs swayed gently in the corners, bothered by the breeze that slipped in through the cracks, carrying the salty taint of the nearby sea. Aaron rose quietly from his sleep, the creaking floor beneath his feet a familiar sound that blended into the rhythm of his day. He dressed in sturdy trousers and a simple shirt, each article of clothing a reminder of the simple life he led. Outside, the wind brushed against the coastal dunes, rustling the long blades of grass that grew haphazardly. The air smelled fresh, almost crisp, with the mingling scents of earth and brine. As he stepped outside, the sun warmed his face, and he could hear the distant call of seagulls overhead, their cries punctuating the sound of waves crashing in the distance. Aaron moved to the small garden he tended by the side of the house. His hands, rough and callous from years of labor, worked steadily as he planted seeds into the rich, dark soil. Each movement was practiced. Deliberate, the soft earth yielded easily beneath his fingers, and he paused occasionally to savor the quiet, each breath filled with the earthly aroma of damp soil and blooming flowers. There was solace in these small rituals, a connection to the land that felt timeless. As the sun climbed higher in the sky, Aaron watered the plants, feeling the cool splash of water on his skin. Just beyond the garden, the wooden steps of the lighthouse loomed, a sturdy sentinel watching over the sea. Its paint was peeling in places, revealing the weathered wood beneath, but to Aaron, it stood proud and resolute. He often found himself drawn to the light, its beam reaching out to guide distant sailors home, a small symbol of safety against the vastness of the ocean. After tending to the garden, Aaron made his way to the lighthouse. The heavy door creaked open, revealing the cool, shadowed interior. Inside, he climbed the spiral staircase, each step echoing softly. At the top, he paused to admire the view of vast expanse of blue where the sea met the sky. The lighthouse lantern stood waiting, and he moved with care to ensure it was clean and ready for the evening's illumination. In the mornings, he took time to polish the glass, his breath fogging the surface as he wiped away the residue of salt and sand that clung to it. There was something soothing about this repetitive task. Outside, the afternoon sunlight poured through the windows, lending a golden hue to every surface. He loved the way the light danced upon the glass, warming the space around him. Once finished, Aaron descended the stairs and made his way to the kitchen. The small room was simple, filled with the warm smell of bread baking. He prepared a modest meal of porridge, letting it simmer on the stove while he cleaned up the kitchen. The solitude of the house enveloped him like an old friend, and he found comfort in the quiet sounds of his home, the tinkling of water, the crackling of the fire, the gentle sigh of the house settling. When he finished eating, he stepped outside once more, drawn by the wind that seemed to carry secrets from the sea. He wandered toward the dunes, feeling the soft sand beneath his boots. The rolling hills of grass whispered excitedly under the caress of the wind, and Aaron paused to take in the view, the horizon stretching infinitely before him. As he walked along the shore, he noticed something unusual washed up on the sand, a small, waterlogged box, its surface marred by the salt of the sea. Curious, Aaron picked it up, feeling the weight of it in his hands. The wood was rough, weathered, a story etched into its very fibers. He examined it closely. There was no visible opening, but the curiosity nagged at him. Who had crafted it, and why had it come to rest here, alone? Setting it aside for a moment, Aaron resumed his walk along the beach, the surf lapping at his feet as he lost himself in the calm rhythm of the waves. The sun had begun to arc lower in the sky, casting long shadows behind him. He could hear the faint calls of the gulls as they skimmed the surface of the water, and the air became thicker with the scent of salt and seaweed. As dusk approached, He made his way back to the house, the box tucked safely under his arm. It felt heavier than it had before, though he wasn't entirely sure why. He removed his boots at the door, leaving them to dry by the hearth, and placed the box on the table, its surface cool against the warmth of the approaching evening. Aaron lit the lanterns around the house, their soft flames flickering gently. He prepared to read by the light of the lanterns, a worn novel resting on the table beside the box. The words on the page were familiar, easing him into their embrace like an old friend. He often lost himself in the stories of faraway lands and daring adventures, journeys that took him far beyond the confines of his quiet life. As he read, he occasionally glanced at the box, wondering what lay within. Something an ache of curiosity pulled at him, and though he told himself that it was just a forgotten vessel of the sea, the allure of the unknown lingered in the air. Each time he turned a page, he felt the weight of it, as though it were calling for his attention. The sun slipped beyond the horizon, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink that gradually deepened into twilight. The world outside grew quieter, the sounds of the day fading into the gentle rustling of the night. Stars began to pepper the inky sky, their soft gleam mirrored in the stillness of the sea. As the night wrapped around the house, Aaron put down his book and turned his full attention to the box, curiosity bubbling to the surface. He picked it up once more, examining it for a way to open it. There were no hinges or locks, and the wood was too solid to pry apart. He ran his fingers over its damp surface, feeling the sea's imprint on it, a testament to its journey. Lost in thought, he placed the box on the table again and prepared a small fire in the hearth, the flames crackling cheerfully. He settled into his chair, the warmth of the fire spreading across the room, wrapping him in its glow. Time slipped by as he lost himself in the gentle dance of the flames, each flicker of light casting playful shadows on the wall. Hours drifted, and Aaron felt the pull of sleep begin to creep in. The box sat quietly in the corner, a mystery waiting to be discovered. The lighthouse stood firm against the night, its beam shone out, unwavering and constant. He closed his eyes, lulled by the sound of the waves crashing against the shore and the wind that rustled outside, carrying the secrets of the sea. In the stillness, the lighthouse remained his faithful companion, guiding him ever onward as the mysteries of the ocean continued to unfold just beyond the horizon. The fire crackled softly, sending tiny embers swirling into the night air. Aaron kept his gaze on the box, its surface glistening in the firelight. Shadows danced around it, making its edges appear sharper, more defined. He could still recall the moment he had unearthed it from the sand, the anticipation curling in his chest, and now it rested before him, inviting, yet unyielding. A gentle breeze rustled the wooden walls of the house, carrying with it the faint scent of salt and seaweed from the coast. Aaron leaned back in his chair, the warmth of the fire contrasting with the cool air drifting in through the cracks. He felt at once rooted in this moment and untethered, with curiosity leading him toward the unknown. He stood up and crossed the room, the floorboards creaking underfoot. The flickering light illuminated the box, revealing more of its weathered texture. Aaron rubbed his fingers along the edges, tracing the worn grooves. It felt like a relic, a piece of history washed ashore, and he couldn't help but wonder about its journey. Who had once held this box? What stories had it contained before the waves claimed it? With a determined breath, he placed both hands on the box and gave it a gentle shake, hearing a faint clatter from within. That soft sound stirred something in him, a feeling of urgency, compelling him to unlock its secrets. Yet, how to do so? There were no visible fastenings, just solid wood and the faint scent of salt water still clinging to it. Returning to his chair, Aaron pulled the worn novel closer, seeking refuge within its pages, yet his mind wandered back to the box. The stark contrast between the prose of adventure and the mystery before him became too great. He placed the book aside once more, staring at the box with renewed determination. He felt as though it had been waiting for him, perhaps even testing his patience. Aaron fetched a small knife from the kitchen, its blade thin and slightly tarnished from years of use. He set it against the lid and pressed gently, hesitating as he did so. This box, with its weathered charm, seemed almost sacred in its silence, He wanted to approach it with reverence just then. A gust of wind rattled the house, and the light flickered as a new wave of shadow washed over the walls. It was an inauspicious omen, but Aaron felt emboldened. He pushed the blade gently into the gap between the lid and the body of the box. It splintered quietly, releasing a fresh, sharp scent of wood that had been hidden away. With a little force, he pried open the lid, revealing a dark interior. Inside lay a bundle wrapped in faded cloth, the edges frayed and soft from years of exposure. Aaron felt the thrill of discovery race through him. What could it be? He reached in carefully, lifting the cloth to reveal its contents. Within was a small, delicate diary, its pages yellowed and fragile, adorned with a simple leather cover that had seen better days. The moment Aaron held it in his hands, he felt a deep connection to the past, as though the very essence of its creator had seeped into the pages. He brushed his fingers over the cover, tracing the embossed initials LW, the only hand of who had once penned the thoughts within. With a calm deliberation, Aaron settled back into his chair, the diary resting on his lap. Around him, the house seemed to hold its breath, the night deepening as he flipped open the cover. The pages crackled softly, revealing neat, looping handwriting, the ink still dark despite the passage of time. June 12, 1885, it began, the ink steady and firm. Today, I came to this coast, drawn by the whispers of the waves and the secrets they keep. Aaron felt a rush of excitement. Here was a voice from the past, someone who too had sought solace by the sea. He leaned forward, the fire flickering in his eyes, and began to read, absorbing the words that unfolded like a forgotten melody, rhythmic and soothing. The diary detailed the daily life of LWA wanderer who had traveled from town to town, seeking adventure while carrying the weight of a restless heart. The descriptions of the coastal landscape were vivid, capturing the stunning beauty of sunrise over the dunes and the haunting call of gulls circling the cliffside. Aaron could almost picture LW wandering among the tall grass, a curious spirit, tracing the footprints of the past. As he continued to read, he discovered LW had often written of the lighthouse descriptions of foggy mornings when the light would pierce through the mist, began to seep into Aaron's consciousness. The very lighthouse that stood steadfast at the edge of the world, a sentinel for ships lost in the night, LW had a deep connection with the place, often returning to it, pondering its significance as though seeking answers to questions unasked. The more he read, the more he felt LW's presence, a gentle soul, filled with wonder yet burdened by unfulfilled dreams. Each entry seemed to draw Aaron deeper into a shared experience of longing and discovery, the words flowing like waves lapping against the shore. Outside, the sound of the ocean blended with the crackling of the fire, creating a lullaby of nature. He glanced toward the window, where the moon shone brightly, casting a silver glow over the dunes. The world outside felt distant, yet undeniably connected to the story of the diary. As the night wore on, each entry unraveled layers of LW's journey, moments of joy, heartache, and reflection. Some passages hinted at trials, the kind that shaped a person and molded their spirit. Each sunset described carried the weight of the decision, the search for belonging lighting the pages with a feeling of hopeful longing. Aaron felt his own heart resonate with those words, an understanding blossoming between two souls across the span of years. July 1, 1885. Read the next entry. There is a storm approaching, the waves crash with fury, and I can hear the distant roar of thunder. I find solace in the lighthouse, where the keeper tells tales of ships saved and lives changed. This coast is alive, and I am but a visitor in its story. The storm, Aaron thought, must have been a tempest of great magnitude. The keeper's tales must have woven a connection with LW, revealing a deeper understanding of the sea's duality, its beauty, and its rage. He paused, captivated by the imagery, and let the words sink in, feeling as though he too were standing on that stormy shore, the wind tugging at his coat as he looked out toward the horizon. For hours, he lost himself in the world of LW, each entry guiding him deeper into a place of reflection and wonder. Time slipped by as the fire settled into glowing embers, casting a warm, amber light around the room. He felt peaceful, connected to something larger than himself. as though the very essence of the ocean and the sky enveloped him in their embrace. Aaron finally turned to the last entry, which felt like the completion of a circular journey. August 15, 1885, it began with a gravity that weighed heavy in the air. The road I must take leads me away from this coast, yet I leave with a heart full of gratitude. The lighthouse has shown me the light in my own soul, guiding me through the fog of uncertainty. Tears pricked at his eyes as he read L.W. S. farewell to the coast, a place that had been a refuge, a wellspring of inspiration. He could feel the longing radiate from the page, a bittersweet farewell that resonated with his own heart's yearning for understanding and connection. Aaron understood L.W. S. journey all too well, the pull of home and the call of adventure battling within. With a deep breath, he closed the diary, the silence of the night enveloping him, the last words lingering in the air. He held the box on his lap, wondering if somehow it was destined for him, having found its way through the waves to connect their lives across time. The lighthouse beam swept across the room in rhythmic intervals, echoing the heartbeat of the coast. Aaron glanced toward the window, where the moon hung high and bright, spilling silver light across the floor. He carried the diary back to the table and set it down carefully, running his fingers lovingly over its cover once more. It felt like a promise, a shared understanding that would not fade with the passing of night. He settled back into his chair, a blanket of calm wrapping around him as he let the words of L.W. sink deeper into his mind. He felt the soft weight of sleep creeping over him, a gentle tide that ebbed and flowed. The stories of the past danced through his thoughts, mingling with the sound of the ocean, reminding him that all journeys were connected by the vast expanse of time and tide. Outside, the waves continued to crash against the shore, singing their ancient song. The lighthouse remained a steadfast beacon, guiding all who sought its light. And within the warmth of his small wooden house near the coastal dunes, Aaron settled into peaceful slumber, wrapped in the dreams woven by L.W.'s words, where the mysteries of the sea lay gently before him, waiting to be discovered with the light of a new day. The soft light of the moon poured through the window, illuminating the room in silver hues as Aaron drifted deeper into the embrace of sleep. The sound of the ocean, rhythmic and soothing, intertwined with his dreams, creating a serenade of memories and possibilities. Time moved gently, wrapping the world in a tapestry of night. Hours passed, and the room settled into a tranquil stillness until the first light of dawn began to peek through the cracks of the wooden house. A delicate hue of pale gold crept in, gently nudging Aaron from his slumber. He stirred, blinking sleep from his eyes, and took a moment to soak in the quiet of the morning. Rising from his chair, Aaron stretched out the stiffness in his limbs, feeling the coolness of the wooden floor beneath his feet. The fire had simmered to a faint flicker, leaving behind warm embers that whispered of the night's comfort. He took a moment to savor the intimacy of the space, the mingling scents of wood and salt air bringing clarity to his mind. Outside, the world emerged, painted in soft pastels of dawn. Aaron moved to the window, drawn by the call of the coast. The dunes rolled gently in the distance, their contours softened by the early light. The ocean, still and reflective, mirrored the skies, awakening a calm expanse awaiting the day's journey. With a lingering glance at the beauty before him, Aaron turned back to the table, where L.W.'s diary awaited him like an old friend, eager to share more secrets. He poured a cup of steaming tea, the fragrant steam curling up as he settled back into his chair. The warmth of the mug enveloped his hands, and he took a sip, letting the soothing liquid awaken his senses fully. Flipping open the diary, he found himself captivated once more by the elegant script of L.W. The pages held not just words, but echoes of laughter, tears, and quiet contemplation. Today, he felt an eagerness to unravel more of L.W.'s experiences, to glean insight into the wondering spirit that had traversed the same shoreline. August 16, 1885, you read aloud, the words slipping into the quiet of the room. Today I ventured to the cliffs at first light, where the old lighthouse stands sentinel over the sea. The air was sharp with salt, invigorating my spirit as I climbed. Each step felt like a pilgrimage to a sacred site, the lighthouse a symbol of hope against the vast unknown. Aaron turned the page, enchanted. LW continued to write about the views from the cliff, how the ocean stretched endlessly, a blue canvas dotted with white caps that danced playfully with the morning sun. He could almost see the scene in his mind, and he marveled at the sense of wonder LW expressed. The keeper of the lighthouse, LW wrote, shared tales of ships lost and found. He spoke of sailors who sought solace in the light, guiding them to safety through storms. I listened, enraptured, each story a thread weaving into my own. Aaron felt the stirrings of the desire awakening within him and yearning to discover the narratives behind every ship that passed, every soul that found strength in the beam of light cutting through the fog of uncertainty. He imagined the faces of those sailors, the sounds of their laughter mingling with the crash of the waves. As he continued reading, he found LW's reflections on the unseen that surrounds us. There is magic in the ordinary, the words flowed, in the rustle of the grass, the call of the gulls. Each moment is a glimpse into something greater if one has the heart to see. With each line, Aaron felt a new layer of understanding unfold within him. The connection he had since the night before deepened. It was not merely a shared geography, but a shared quest for meaning that resonated within both their hearts. He took a deep breath, realizing how often he had overlooked the beauty in the mundane, the rustling leaves, the patterns in the sand, the way the light changed with every passing cloud. Perhaps this was where his journey would begin, in the awareness that life itself was a tapestry of stories waiting to be told. After finishing his tea, Aaron decided to step outside, letting the fresh morning air fill his lungs. He opened the door and felt the soft breeze brush against his skin. The sun had begun to rise higher, casting a golden hue over the dunes, illuminating the path that went its way toward the ocean. The sand felt warm beneath his feet as he walked. Each step stirred tiny grains that sparkled in the sunlight, inviting him to explore further. As he approached the water's edge, the gentle ebb and flow of the waves welcomed him, lapping at his ankles with familiar ease. Aaron stood still, listening to the ocean's melody, the rhythm echoing LW's words about hope and adventure. He watched as gulls swooped gracefully overhead, their cries adding to the symphony of the coast. It was in this quiet communion with nature that he felt the stirrings of inspiration. A notion formed in his mind, a plan to record his own experiences, to share the tales of the sea and the people who crossed its path. He envisioned a journal of his own, a chronicle of the ordinary miracles that unfolded in the everyday. As he reflected on this idea, he found a flat piece of driftwood along the shoreline, smooth and worn, the kind of surface that begged to be marked. He picked it up, cradling it in his hands, and felt the pulse of creativity that sparked within him. It was a simple gesture, yet it held the promise of something profound. The sun climbed higher, coaxing the breeze to dance playfully through the tall grass that offered a protective blanket to the coastal dunes. The scene around him felt alive, vibrant with possibility. Aaron's heart swelled as he took in the beauty of the surrounding world, a canvas painted by nature's steady hand. In that moment, as he watched the waves roll in and out, he made a silent promise to himself to seek out the stories that lingered in the corners of his mind and to honor the connections that rose and fell like the tides. He would let LW's journey intertwine with his own, a shared exploration of the world that lay just beyond the horizon. The day unfolded slowly, with the sun warming the earth, and time seemed to stretch languidly, an invitation to savor each moment. Aaron wandered along the shore, collecting bits of sea glass and shells, their smooth surfaces catching the light. Each piece became a token of inspiration, a reminder of the connection he felt to the coast and the stories woven within it. As the afternoon sun began to dip, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, Aaron made his way back home. The house stood quietly against the backdrop of the dunes, a faithful companion to his thoughts and dreams. He entered and felt the warmth of the interior wrap around him. He placed the driftwood on the table beside LW's diary, feeling an urge to begin his own writing. The flickering candle cast a gentle light, its flame dancing as though it too wished to inspire the words that would flow from him. He opened the diary one last time, seeking the wisdom of the past to guide his own hand. August 17, 1885, you read, his voice still infused with the remnants of that peaceful morning. The tide brought new treasures today, remnants of the sea that whispered tales of journeys long past. The past is not lost, it simply waits to be discovered. In each shell, each smooth stone, a story of resilience and beauty. Aaron felt a smile spread across his face. He realized that the journey he was embarking on, much like LW's, was not just about the stories of others, but also about the narrative he would create within his own life. He picked up a pen, the weight of it familiar in his fingers as he opened his own blank journal, the pages filled with potential. He wrote about his day, the walk along the shore, the inspiration that sparked within him. He wrote of the connection he felt to LW, the shared love of the sea, and the promise of uncovering the stories that lay waiting. Each word flowed effortlessly, a release of emotions that had long been tucked away, yearning for expression. By the time dusk began to descend, the sky transformed into a canvas of rich purples and deep blues. The lighthouse beam began its nightly sweep, a vigilant guardian of the coast, as the first stars blinked into existence. Aaron took a moment to pause and look outside, where the horizon met the sea, a gentle reminder of the journey of both the known and the unknown. He closed his journal, feeling lighter, as though the act of writing had lifted a weight from his shoulders. The evening air held a chill, but the warmth inside wrapped around him like a beloved old blanket. As he prepared for the night, he reflected on the day, the simple moments that had ignited a flame of creativity and connection. Time flowed on, and soon the moon hung high in the sky once more, watching over the small wooden house near the coastal dunes as Aaron settled into sleep. The tales of the day danced in his mind, merging with the gentle sound of the waves beyond, a lullaby of comfort and possibility. In his dreams, he wandered through a landscape brushed with the colors of the sea, where the past intertwined with the present, and stories of old mingled with his own unfolding narrative. Each wave seemed to sing of adventures yet to come, while the lighthouse stood tall, a steadfast beacon guiding him through the depths of his imagination. And so, as the world outside continued its rhythmic pulse, Aaron drifted into a peaceful night, enraptured by the promise of tomorrow a new dawn of discovery, where stories waited patiently to be told once more. A soft glow of morning began to seep into the room as the moon slowly receded, finding its place behind the horizon. The wooden house, wrapped in its familiar quiet, seemed to hold its breath, honoring the stillness before the day. Aaron stirred, the lingering remnants of dreams fading as consciousness wrapped its tendrils around him. He blinked against the soft light filtering through the window, illuminating the dust motes dancing in the air. The ocean's breath filtered through the cracks of the wooden walls, a gentle chant that summoned him from the warm cocoon of his bed. Slowly, he pushed the covers aside, his feet touching the cool floorboards with a soft thud. He padded over to the window, opening it to let the fresh sea air fill the room. The tangy scent of salt mixed with the fragrance of the dune grass, promising a new day filled with discovery. Aaron dressed in a simple shirt and trousers, feeling the fabric brush against his skin as he moved with purpose. He made his way to the kitchen, where remnants of the evening's fire crackled softly in the hearth, the embers still glowing red. With practiced hands, he set about preparing a modest breakfast, the rhythmic sound of the kettle filling the room with a comforting sigh. The aroma of freshly brewed tea mingled with the scent of toasted bread, creating a homey warmth that enveloped him. As he sat at the table, a cup in hand, he cast his gaze toward the diary resting there, its edges worn and inviting. He had promised himself to delve deeper into LW's stories, feeling a pull toward the narrative that mirrored some of his own experiences. Taking a deep breath, he opened the diary once again, allowing the words to transport him to a time long past. The passages revealed glimpses of LW's adventurous spirit, tales of journeys along the same shore where Aaron now stood, and the connections made with the sea and sky. Each word seemed to breathe life into the events LW had lived through, imbued with longing and hope. Aaron let the tea cool in his hands as he lost himself in the tales, feeling the cadence of the prose echo against his heart. Suddenly, a soft knock at the door interrupted his reverie. The sound was gentle, almost hesitant, and it roused Aaron from the world of ink and paper. He marked his place in the diary, a promise to return to it, and rose from his chair to see who it might be. The gentle air brushed against him as he opened the door, revealing a woman with hair the color of sunlit sand and eyes as bright as the summer sky. "Good morning," she greeted, her voice smooth as the waves lapping against the shore. "Morning," Aaron replied, a smile breaking across his face. "What brings you here?" "I thought I might share a stroll along the dunes," she said, glancing back towards the golden sands. "I've seen you walking before and thought it could be nice to explore together." Aaron considered her for a moment, his mind racing with possibilities. He was accustomed to his solitary walks, yet there was an undeniable allure in the prospect of companionship. "That sounds lovely," he said, stepping aside to let her in. "I just finished breakfast. Would you like some tea?" "Only if you're having it," she replied with a smile that reached her eyes, a sincerity laying the foundation of unexpected company. "But if you're ready, I'd rather not keep you from the sea." With a nod, Aaron set aside his empty cup. Inviting her to lead the way, they stepped onto the porch, the morning light now fully claiming the day. The dunes unfurled ahead of them, a gentle undulation of soft golden sand, while the ocean shimmered in the distance, inviting and vast. As they walked, Aaron glanced over at her, intrigued by the story she must hold. "What's your name?" "Lena," she replied, brushing a loose strand of hair behind her ear. "And you?" "Aaron," he answered. Together, they walked towards the foot of the dunes. The sound of the waves grew louder, a persistent reminder of the rhythm of life that surrounded them. The soft sand yielded beneath their feet, each step sinking with the promise of adventure. "What draws you to the sea?" Lena asked as they climbed higher, the breeze lifting her hair into the air. "It feels like a part of me," Aaron said, searching for the right words. "I grew up near the coast, always feeling drawn to its stories, its mysteries. Every tide feels like a new beginning." "Completely agree," she said, her enthusiasm palpable. "The sea never stays the same. It constantly changes, much like us." As they reached the top of the dune, the vista opened before them. The ocean glimmered like 1,000 diamonds scattered across its surface, waves rolling steadily towards the shore. Aaron breathed deeply, the salty air filling his lungs as he took in the view, feeling invigorated by the beauty before him. They stood side by side, taking in the vastness of the sea, feeling the world expand and contract with each wave. For a moment, words felt unnecessary instead. They shared a silent understanding of their mutual connection to this place, this moment. "Look," Lena said, pointing towards a cluster of washed-up shells near the water's edge. "Let's see what the tide has brought in today." With a feeling of shared curiosity, they descended the dune, the sand slipping beneath their feet as they made their way towards the shoreline. Laughter punctuated their steps as they reached the cool, wet sand, where the ocean kissed the land. Aaron knelt, inspecting a beautiful conch shell that lay half buried in the grains. He picked it up, turning it over in his hands, feeling its smooth surface. "It's perfect," he said, handing it to Lena. She held it to her ear, a broad smile illuminating her face. "Can you hear it?" He leaned in closer, listening intently. "It sounds like the ocean, doesn't it?" "It does." "It always does," she replied, looking out at the waves with a glimmer in her eyes. "Each shell, like each person, has its own story to tell." Aaron nodded, the words resonating with the reflections he had found in L.W.'s diary. He felt a connection to Lena, a kindred spirit who understood the language of the sea, the whispers of adventure that traversed the air. As they continued to explore, they collected shells and driftwood, sharing tales of their lives. Lena spoke of her childhood spent climbing cliffs and exploring hidden coves, while Aaron shared his own journeys along the coast, stories tinged with both nostalgia and hope. Time slipped by, marked by the ebb and flow of the tide. The sun climbed higher in the sky, warming their backs as they wandered through the morning. Each new discovery brought laughter and delight, each shared moment knitting a bond between them. Eventually, they found a large piece of driftwood, bleached by the sun and shaped by the tides. It was smooth and inviting, the perfect spot to rest for a moment. They settled down, letting the gentle sound of the waves fill the silence, their hearts light with the thrill of connection. "I've been exploring the coastline," Aaron confessed, glancing sideways at Lena. "There's something serene about this place that sparks a need for storytelling." "Storytelling? That's wonderful," Lena replied, a spark of interest lighting her features. "What do you like to write about?" "The sea, mostly," he said, "and the stories of those who lived here before me. I found an old diary yesterday, filled with adventures and reflections. It felt like a glimpse into a world long gone, yet still alive." Lena leaned closer, her curiosity evident. "What kind of stories?" "Of travels along the shore, of dreams and discoveries," he recounted. "It resonated with me, reminding me that the past is never truly lost. It's just waiting to be unearthed." "Maybe we can create our own stories," she suggested with a playful smile. "We can weave our adventures into something new." Aaron's heart skipped. There was something about her enthusiasm, a feeling of shared purpose that made him feel alive. "I would like that," he replied, warmth flooding his voice. "Perhaps together we can tell the tales this place has yet to share." As they sat on the driftwood, the sun above them marking the passage of time, the sound of the ocean continued to drift around them, a soft serenade to the dreams waiting to unfold. Aaron felt a feeling of peace settle over him, realizing the day had unfolded in ways he had not imagined. It was a day where new connections were forged, where possibilities lingered like the sea foam brushing against the shore. As they exchanged stories, the world around them faded into a serene backdrop, the horizon stretching infinitely before them. The day wore on, each moment leading them deeper into their shared tale, building a bond that felt as inevitable as the passing tides. With laughter and excitement threading through their conversation, the landscape transformed into a canvas of memories, each detail imprinted against the backdrop of their lives. Eventually, the sun began its slow descent, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink. The evening glow wrapped around them, casting a warm light that mirrored the comfort they felt in each other's company. "Shall we head back?" Aaron suggested as the first stars began to twinkle above, the transition from day to night creating a feeling of timelessness. "Only if you promise to tell me more about your writing," she replied, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. "Deal," Aaron said, feeling a surge of excitement. Together, they retraced their steps along the shoreline, the sand cool against their feet as the waves whispered secrets only the ocean knew. As they approached his home, the warmth spilling from the windows beckoned like an old friend. The evening had been a journey of discovery, not just of the land, but of each other. Aaron felt the weight of the day's adventure settling into his heart, a gentle reminder of the beauty found in connection. "Thank you for today," he said as they reached the porch, a feeling of gratitude filling him. "It was more than I anticipated." "Thank you for sharing it with me," Lena replied, her smile lighting up the dusk. "I felt the same." As they stood on the porch, the moon rising high and radiant, the promise of another day lingered in the air. Much like the tides, their connection brought with it a gentle anticipation for what tomorrow might hold. "See you in the morning?" Aaron asked hesitantly, hoping she felt the same pull towards the dawn. "I wouldn't miss it for the world," she answered, her voice steady and inviting. With a final wave, she turned to leave, her figure fading into the silver light. Aaron stepped inside, closing the door softly behind him, the warmth wrapping around him like a familiar embrace. He settled back into the comforting chair by the hearth, the diary awaiting him like an old friend. The day had been a tapestry of stories woven together, and as he flipped the pages, he felt L.W.'s presence linger, as though the past was interwoven with his present in a beautiful dance. The sounds of the night drifted in through the window, a lullaby of the sea, filling him with a profound sense of belonging. With a heart full of new beginnings, Aaron leaned back, letting the warmth of the embers and the quiet hum of the waves guide him into a peaceful evening. Each story he read seemed to pulse with life, a gentle reminder that the narratives of the past, present, and future were bound in threads of connection. He realized that his own tale was beginning to take shape, each page turning gently beneath his fingers, inviting him to explore the depths of creativity, friendship, and the enduring power of the sea. The memories of the day washed over him, mingling with the soft sound of waves, as Aaron closed his eyes, drifting once more into the comforting embrace of sleep, the adventures yet to unfold dancing through his dreams. As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky in shades of soft blue and warm gold, Aaron felt the delicate warmth against his skin, an anchor to the day that unfurled before him. The ocean glimmered like a vast expanse of glass, and the rhythmic sound of the waves lapping at the shore echoed in his heart, each crash a reminder of life's constant ebb and flow. He turned to Lena, her laughter mingling with the sound of the surf, invigorating him like the bracing sea breeze that tousled their hair. Look there. She pointed toward a cluster of smooth stones that jutted out from the shore, polished by time and tide. I wonder how many stories they've witnessed. Aaron followed her gaze, the curiosity igniting in him. Every stone has a tale. He nodded, rearranging his thoughts to fit with this newfound perspective. Perhaps we could give voice to them, create a narrative around each one. Lena grinned, the light of inspiration shining in her eyes. And what if we imagined they were once part of a great mountain, now humbled by the sea's caress? Or perhaps they were once the foundations of a lost kingdom, Aaron added, his imagination flourishing at her suggestion. They could hold secrets of sailors and their voyages. What if, Lena suggested, her voice lowering conspiratorially as they settled onto the warm sand, there was treasure buried beneath them, a map etched in the stones, leading us to what was once forgotten? The idea spiraled in Aaron's mind, each word sparking a new strand of story. We could create characters to search for it, perhaps a brave wanderer and their clever companion, he mused, watching as Lena leaned closer, her eyes gleaming with excitement. Yes, and they could face riddles set by the stones, old guardians of the past, testing their worthiness before revealing the treasure. As they spoke, the world around them faded, the sun growing warmer on their skin, the sound of waves softening into a gentle backdrop to their conversation. The day felt limitless, imbued with a feeling of wonder, as though the universe had conspired to grant them this moment of inspiration. After a while, they resumed their exploration, meandering down the beach, their shoes abandoned in the sand. They collected shells of various hues, each one telling a small story of the ocean. Lena found a small conch and held it to her ear, closing her eyes in thought. What do you hear? Aaron asked softly, intrigued. The sea, she replied, her voice taking on a serene timbre. It's all the past, the present, the future. It's everything. Aaron took a shell of his own, a beautiful spiral form, and listened to it too, though he was not sure he heard much beyond the sound of his own breath. Still, he felt a connection to the waves, the unbroken flow of time that mingled with their thoughts. Let's write our story together, he suggested, a gentle thrill coursing through him. Tonight, we could set up a little gathering here, under the stars, sharing our thoughts and dreams. Lena nodded eagerly, her smile infectious. I'd love that we could invite others too, make it a night of storytelling. As the morning slipped into afternoon, a feeling of calm settled around them. They wandered farther down the beach, losing track of time, the sun high above now warming the world in earnest. The scent of salt and sea mingled with the faint aroma of wildflowers from the dunes, filling him with vitality. Have you ever thought about how the beach changes with the seasons? Aaron asked, marveling at the small shifts in the landscape, the way the dunes constantly reshape themselves. Not really, Lena replied. To me, it always felt like home, like it was waiting for me to return. I can relate. It's as though the land holds a memory, a pulse, Aaron said, recalling L.W.'s musings in the diary, the ebb and flow shaping our thoughts too. Their conversation drifted naturally, his thoughts weaving in and out with hers, a comforting rhythm that felt like an extension of their laughter. They shared dreams and fears, aspirations that seemed closer with each shared revelation. As they walked, they stumbled upon bits of driftwood, weathered yet sturdy, lying half buried in the sand. Each piece spoke of storms weathered and calm days enjoyed, each telling a fragment of a larger story that begged to be imagined. This one looks like it could be transformed into something beautiful, Lena observed, picking up a particularly twisted piece. What if we made something from it? A sculpture that represents the journey of our stories. Aaron looked at the wood, a vision materializing in his mind. A figure rising from the waves, arms outstretched as though welcoming all the stories that wash ashore. Yes, and we could add shells. Every shell could represent a character, a voice in the narrative, she said, her enthusiasm propelling them into a lively discussion about the possibilities. The sun dipped lower in the sky, casting golden rays across the water. The shadows lengthened, the chill of the evening creeping in softly. Shall we head back? Aaron asked, sensing the evening's pull, though he was reluctant to leave the magic of the beach behind. Just a little longer, Lena replied, her eyes sparkling with mischief. Let's chase the tide as it recedes. They ran along the shoreline, laughter spilling into the air, the water cool against their ankles as the waves danced back and forth like children at play. Each retreating wave felt like nature nudging them forward, urging them to explore, to discover and create. Eventually, breathless from their chase, they settled on a high dune, the view panoramic and breathtaking. The sun sank toward the horizon, painting the sky in brilliant shades of orange and pink, the clouds bursting into color like the last brushstrokes of the master painter. Look at that, Aaron said, overwhelmed by the beauty before them. It feels like a goodbye and a greeting all at once. Like the sea, Lena said thoughtfully, her gaze riveted to the horizon. Always changing, yet constant in its presence. As the first stars blinked into view, a blanket of tranquility enveloped them. They shared quiet moments, talking softly about everything and nothing, allowing the sounds of the ocean to fill the spaces between their words. The world felt vast, yet so intimately small in their shared silence. Tonight, we'll write, Aaron declared softly, feeling the weight of the day pressing comfortably on his shoulders. We can build our stories together under the stars, just as they are built on the whispers of the waves. Lena nodded, her smile warm against the cool evening air. And perhaps we can share them with the world someday. Isn't that the greatest gift storytelling can give? The thought lingered in Aaron's mind, wrapping around him like the soft nighttime breeze. As they ventured back toward the cabin, the silhouettes of the dunes stood like guardians, their presence both reassuring and inspiring. The rhythmic sound of the waves accompanied them home, and Aaron felt a feeling of belonging blossom within his heart, a promise of stories yet to be told. At the cabin, the warm glow of the oil lamps provided comfort against the growing darkness. Aaron lit a lamp on the table, illuminating the pages of his diary, and together they found a cozy corner to sit. After a brief pause, he opened the diary to a fresh page, the pen poised in his hand. Let's begin with our treasure hunt, he said, excitement lacing his voice. Lena leaned in, narrating the first lines, their words flowing seamlessly, an interplay of ideas like the tides they had just witnessed. The stories poured forth, each character, each plot twist danced in their minds, intertwining with both the land around them and the comforting air that filled the cabin. They lost themselves in the narrative, the world outside fading as they stitched together their tales, creating a kingdom born from driftwood and dreams. Hours slipped away unnoticed, each word bringing them closer, as though the very act of creation bound them together in a way deeper than they had expected. The night deepened, stars twinkling like distant treasures overhead, reflecting the stories now flowing easily between them. Time felt like a forgiving river, allowing moments to stretch, each passage a chance to discover something new. As they wrote, Aaron felt the gentle hum of inspiration, the promise of what lay ahead shining brightly. The night felt alive with possibility, each stroke of the pen a step forward into a vast ocean of creativity, a reminder that the journey had just begun. Eventually, their laughter faded into quiet conversation, the weariness of the day settling comfortably upon them. The diary remained open, pages filled with their adventures, waiting for more sleep beckon on the horizon. Shall we pause for the night? Aaron suggested quietly, glancing at the flickering flame of the lamp. Yes. Lena sighed contentedly, the warmth of the room wrapping around them. Let's dream of our stories. They closed the diary, letting the narrative rest for now, but the flames of inspiration flickered brightly in their hearts. As the sounds of the night enveloped them, the rhythm of the waves an eternal lullaby, Aaron felt a gentle peace wash over him, a promise of continuity in the stories that would weave, the adventures yet to be discovered. In the embrace of the wooden house near the dunes, surrounded by the soft sighs of the wind and the ocean, they let the night guide them toward dreams, where the mysteries of tomorrow awaited, ready to unfurl their secrets at the break of day. Aaron picked up the pen, poised over the diary with a feeling of reverence, as though about to reveal a secret. He glanced at Lena, her eyes sparkling in the soft lamplight. What shall we call our first chapter? Her lips curved into a smile, and she looked upward, contemplating the vastness of their story. Maybe something that captures the spirit of the sea, like adventures in the golden horizon. He nodded, feeling the warmth of her enthusiasm. That sounds perfect, he agreed, carefully inscribing the title on the page. It felt significant to him, as though they were marking their territory within the universe of stories. It was a simple title, yet it held the weight of their shared day and the promise of many more adventures to come. With each passing moment, the distant waves carried secrets and tales from far-off lands, and together they immersed themselves in the act of storytelling. Aaron wrote down the details of their day, his hand gliding fluidly across the page as he described the warm sand beneath their feet, the laughter that echoed between them, and the playful chase along the surf. Lena leaned closer to read, her breath catching like the tide around the rocks. It's beautiful, Aaron. It's like I can feel the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the sea again. He looked up for an instant, their eyes meeting, the connection between them palpable. Let's write about our discoveries, too, the things we found hidden in the tide pools. As he began to write about the delicate starfish and the tiny crabs they had encountered, Lena chimed in with her thoughts, her voice a soft cadence weaving through the air. They spoke of the vibrant colors of the shells they gathered, the textures beneath their fingers, a roughness that reminded them of time itself. Layer by layer, they built their narrative, each detail a brick in their shared dream. Hours slipped by, and the world outside their wooden house faded into a quiet backdrop, the ocean's lullaby playing on in soft waves, giving rhythm to their work. The stars grew brighter, twinkling like gems scattered across velvet, while inside, the lamps glowed dim yet remained welcoming, wrapping around them like a familiar friend. As exhaustion began to settle in, Aaron took a moment to stretch, feeling the weariness in his bones. Lena leaned back, her hair catching the light, framing her face with a golden halo. I think we've written enough for tonight, she suggested, the gentle undertone of sleep threading through her voice. Agreed, Aaron replied, closing the diary with a soft thud, as though sealing in their day's magic. We'll pick it up tomorrow. The prospect of continuing their story filled him with joy, but he also found solace in the idea of rest. They settled more comfortably in their seats, letting the afternoon slip into a quiet evening. The room felt cozy, and the scent of the oil lamps added warmth to the air, mingling with the faint briny aroma that drifted in through the open window. Aaron glanced toward the window, observing the silhouettes of the dunes against the shimmering sky. What do you think the dunes are dreaming of? He asked quietly, curious about the thoughts that might lay hidden in the ancient sand. I wonder if they dream of the stories they've seen. Lena mused, her gaze distant as though she were peering into the very tales the dunes held. The sailors, the storms, and the quiet nights like tonight. There was a moment of silence, where they both let their imaginations wander, weaving in and out of dreams, guided by the sounds of the waves and the rustling wind. Aaron could almost hear the whispers of the past, the echoes of laughter mingling with the crashing surf, creating a symphony of memories. I'd like to think they hold the secrets of all the treasures discovered and lost, Aaron said softly, his voice barely above a murmur. Maybe that's why we're so drawn to them. Yes, Lena agreed, her voice gentle. They're guardians of stories waiting for someone to find them again. With a quiet stillness wrapping around them, the night deepened, and they felt the weight of sleep beginning to tug at their thoughts. Aaron stood and moved to the window, pushing it open slightly to let in the cool evening air. The sounds of the sea filled the cabin, a gentle rhythm that harmonized with the soft flickers of the flame. "Let's keep the window open," he suggested, feeling the comforting presence of the ocean breeze. "I like the idea of the waves saying good night." "Good idea," she replied, settling back into the cushions as she watched him. There was something serene about the way the shadows danced around them, flickering with the flame's light, creating shapes that felt like stories about to be told. As the cool air mingled with their warmth, Aaron sank back into his seat, allowing the calm of the night to wash over him. He felt a deep sense of gratitude for the day spent with Lena, for the stories that were blossoming between them, and for the cradle of warmth that surrounded their small wooden house. The hours slipped gracefully into each other, and soon the clock chimed softly, marking the late hour. The world outside had shifted into a different realm, the stars now shining brightly in the vastness of the night sky, glowing softly as though protecting the dreams of those below. "Are you ready for sleep?" Aaron asked, his voice barely above a whisper, not wanting to disturb the peace enveloping them. Lena nodded, a smile pulling at the corners of her mouth. "I think I am," she said, her eyes heavy with the drowsiness that was settling over her. They extinguished the lamp, a soft shadow enveloping the room as they both settled under the thick blankets. The sounds of the waves became more pronounced, a soothing lull that seemed to wrap around them like a gentle breeze. "Good night, Aaron," Lena murmured, her voice trailing off as she felt the pull of sleep. "Good night, Lena," he replied, watching as her eyes fluttered closed. He turned onto his side, letting his thoughts drift like the waves outside. The calm of the night filled the room, and he felt his body relax, the day's adventures lingering in his mind like the distant sound of the surf. With the moon casting a silvery light through the window, Aaron let his dreams weave in and out, creating a tapestry of possibility for the adventures still to unfold. It was a night where the weight of the world felt light, where the hand of fate danced through the stars, waiting for them to wake and discover what treasures lay ahead. As the hours inched by, the cabin remained still, an oasis of warmth amid the cool night, where stories were cradled gently by the seaest air. Outside, the ocean continued its timeless song, a lullaby that would usher them into dreams, drawing them closer to the magic that awaited on the morrow. As the night deepened, the rhythmic sound of the waves surged and receded, each lull familiar and reassuring. Aaron found himself slipping into a gentle dream, where visions of sandy shores and sun-dappled dunes mingled with flecks of starlight. His mind wandered through the corridors of playful recollections filled with the echo of Lena's laughter and the warmth of her presence beside him. He dreamt of a boat sailing smoothly across the water. The sails danced in the wind, and the horizon stretched endlessly before him. It felt like a freedom untouched by the worries of the world. The ocean shimmered under an azure sky, sparkling like diamonds scattered across a soft fabric. The boat rocked softly beneath him as a cool breeze tousled Aaron's hair, bringing with it the scent of salt and adventure. In the depths of his slumber, images of the day mingled with thoughts of what tomorrow might bring. Would they stroll along the beach, collecting shells and treasures washed ashore? Perhaps they would decide to climb the dunes, ascending to heights where they could see for miles, embracing the vastness of the ocean and sky. So many stories lay ahead, ready to be discovered, and the prospect filled him with a lightness that seeped into his dreams. Time slipped by, the world outside wrapped in a comforting blanket of night. A few soft sounds echoed occasionally, an owl calling in the distance, the gentle rustle of leaves in the coastal breeze, and the ebb and flow of the waves, a continuous dialogue with the shore. Amidst these sounds, Aaron remained at the edge of dreams, cocooned in warmth under the blankets, feeling secure in the sanctuary of their wooden house. As the moon continued its journey across the sky, it cast a silvery glow into the room, illuminating the corners where shadows played. Aaron's dreams shifted, transforming into images of the sand beneath his feet, warm and soft. He could almost feel the grains against his skin, hear the laughter of children playing nearby, and the distant call of the gulls circling overhead. There was a serenity in those dreams, an echo of the life they had created together, a comfort he longed to embrace upon waking. The hours passed in a gentle rhythm, a sweet stillness filling each moment until the first hints of dawn began to unfold. In the softness of that night, Aaron stirred slightly, allowing sleep to hold him for just a while longer. He felt a warmth beside him, the presence of Lena, and without the need for words, they shared a connection that felt as vast as the ocean beyond their home. The edges of sleep began to blur with the soft hues of early morning, but he lingered, allowing the twilight to envelop him, unwilling to leave the warmth behind. Outside, the first whispers of the new day softly coiled around the house, bringing with it the promise of light, of adventure still waiting to unfold. Finally, the sweet call of dawn grew more insistent, urging him gently to open his eyes. The first rays of sunlight slipped through the window, tracing delicate patterns on the walls, awakening the world with quiet grace. As Aaron turned to face Lena, he found her asleep, a peaceful expression gracing her features. He lingered a moment, savoring the sight of her, before carefully slipping out of bed. The floor creaked softly beneath his feet as he made his way to the kitchen, the allure of morning beckoning him to prepare a simple breakfast. The aroma of brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the scent of fresh bread. He set about his task quietly, appreciating this time alone, the familiar rhythm of morning grounding him even as his thoughts danced toward the day ahead. As he stirred the coffee, he glanced out of the small window. The ocean shimmered with the light of the rising sun, each wave glinting like polished glass. The dunes stood tall and inviting, their gentle curves calling to him. He felt an urge to explore, to uncover the secrets of the landscape that had captured his heart. Aaron poured himself a cup of coffee, its warmth filling him with a feeling of calm. He leaned against the counter, gazing out at the expansive sea, lost in thought about the adventures that awaited him and Lena. He felt a spark of excitement flare within him. What wonders might they discover today? Perhaps they would seek out hidden coves or chase the tide as it receded, revealing treasures left by the ocean. Moments later, the soft sound of footsteps reached his ears as Lena approached. Her hair tumbled freely around her shoulders, and her eyes sparkled with the remnants of sleep. She smiled at him, a sleepy yet radiant expression that warmed the very air between them. "Good morning," she said, her voice still thick with dreams. "Good morning, sleepyhead," he replied, grinning as he poured a second cup of coffee, offering it to her. She accepted it gratefully, wrapping her fingers around the warm mug, allowing the aroma to fill her senses. They moved to the small wooden table, letting the sunlight stream through the window, casting a golden hue across their breakfast of fresh bread and homemade jam. "Did you sleep well?" Aaron asked, curious about her dreams. "I did," she answered, her eyes drifting toward the window, where the ocean waves glimmered. "I dreamt of sailing, just like you had felt so real, like we were on an adventure." "Perhaps we could make that dream real," he suggested, a spark of mischief in his voice. "What do you think about sailing today?" Lena's face lit up with excitement. "Oh, that sounds lovely," she said, her enthusiasm palpable. "We should explore the coastline, maybe even find a little cove where we can have a picnic." Aaron set his cup down, feeling a thrill of anticipation. It settled in after breakfast. "We'll pack some supplies and see where the tide takes us." The two enjoyed their morning meal, laughter weaving through their conversation, each bite grounding them in the present while their thoughts danced with possibility. They shared snippets of their dreams and what they hoped to find among the shores ahead, their imaginations painting vivid pictures of the adventures to come. When breakfast was finished, they cleaned up together, sharing small smiles and gentle touches, each moment fragile and precious, like the delicate shells that dotted the beach. After stowing their supplies in a small wicker basket, they slipped on light jackets, ready to face the cool morning air that awaited them outside. With the basket in hand, they stepped through the door and onto the wooden porch. The world outside felt alive, the air fresh with the scent of salt and the sound of the sea filling their ears. They stood for a moment, soaking in the beauty around them, the dunes rising like gentle giants against the sky, the ocean stretched wide and inviting. "Shall we?" Aaron asked, gesturing toward the path that wound down to the beach. Lena nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. They walked side by side, their footsteps soft against the sandy trail, the warmth of the sun filtering through the leaves above. A gentle breeze played with their hair and clothes, weaving through them as though sharing in the joy of the morning. As they reached the beach, the water sparkled under the sun, inviting them closer. The waves lapped rhythmically at the shore, creating a soothing soundtrack to their day. Seagulls soared above them, their calls mingling with the sound of the surf, and Aaron felt the weight of the world drop away, replaced by an exhilarating sense of freedom. They set their basket down on the warm sand and took a moment to breathe in the beauty surrounding them, feeling the sun warming their skin and the ocean breeze sweeping past. Aaron glanced at Lena, her hair dancing in the wind, her eyes wide with wonder as she took in the vast expanse before them. "Let's explore," she said, her voice filled with eagerness. Together, they wandered along the shoreline, collecting shells and sea glass, marveling at the little treasures that the ocean offered. Each piece told a story, a fragment of time captured in nature's embrace, and they reveled in the simplicity of the moment, sharing laughter and delight in their discoveries. Time flowed gently, like the tide that ebbed and flowed at their feet. They explored secluded nooks and crannies in the rocky outcroppings, where tide pools glimmered with life. Tiny crabs scuttled across the sand, starfish clung to rocks, and colorful anemones waved in the water. They observed, fascinated by the hidden world that thrived just beyond the waves. As the sun rose higher in the sky, they settled on a smooth patch of sand, laying out their picnic spread. They shared stories of their childhoods, moments of joy and lessons learned, the sun warming their faces as they indulged in the simple pleasure of each other's company. The ocean's rhythm accompanied their laughter, creating a sweet harmony of joy and connection. After their meal, Aaron suggested they take a moment to simply enjoy the warmth of the sun. They lay back, side by side, watching the clouds drift lazily by, their minds wandering to where the sea met the sky. "Do you think there are places beyond the horizon?" Lena mused, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Absolutely," Aaron replied, embracing the mystery of her words. "There are stories and adventures waiting for us just beyond what we can see." Lena smiled, turning her head slightly to meet his gaze. "Let's promise to explore as much as we can." "Agreed," he said firmly, feeling a feeling of excitement swell within him at the thought of their adventures together. The afternoon stretched on, the sun warming every inch of their surroundings, until the shadows began to lengthen, and the sky transformed into a vibrant canvas of oranges and pinks as dusk approached. With the tide retreating, they decided to take a final walk along the beach, collecting shells and treasures for their memories. As the colors deepened in the sky, Aaron paused, captivated by the beauty of the moment. He turned to Lena, her silhouette framed against the setting sun, and felt a rush of gratitude for the day they had shared. "Let's head back soon," he suggested gently, knowing the cabin would soon be a warm refuge against the encroaching night. She nodded, taking one last look at the horizon, where the sun sank slowly into the water, casting a shimmering path of light. "I could stay here forever," she confessed, her voice filled with longing. "Perhaps we can," he replied, smiling as he took her hand, feeling the connection between them deepen with each shared moment. Together, they walked back along the shoreline, their footsteps leaving fleeting impressions on the sand, echoing the memories they would carry with them. The sun dipped lower, painting the sky in a deepening swirl of colors, as the first stars began to twinkle above, marking the onset of night. Once they returned to the cabin, they shook off the grains of sand and settled back into the cozy warmth of their home. The air filled with a comforting aroma as Aaron prepared a light dinner, the sounds of sizzling filling the small kitchen. "Today was perfect," Lena said, leaning against the counter as she watched him cook, her eyes sparkling with joy. "I wish we could have more days like this." "More days will come," Aaron assured her, his heart light as he felt the magic of their shared experiences. "We have an entire summer ahead of us." With the sun fully set now, the room gradually dimmed, illuminated only by the warm glow of the lamp they rekindled. They dined slowly, enjoying the simple meal and sharing stories of their favorite moments from the day. Laughter filled the space as they recounted silly moments and discoveries, and it felt as though time stood still, allowing them to bask in the warmth of their connection. After dinner, they cleaned up together, the familiar rhythm comforting and grounding. As they moved about the kitchen, the soft sounds of the ocean drifted through the window, a reminder of the world just outside their door. Would you like to light a fire? Aaron suggested, glancing back at Lena as they finished. Yes, let's, she exclaimed, her face lighting up with excitement. Aaron gathered kindling and logs, arranging them expertly in the hearth. With a few matches and careful attention, he coaxed the flames into life, the crackling wood providing a cozy backdrop to their evening. They arranged their chairs around the fire, the warmth wrapping around them as they settled in. Sometimes I feel as though the fire holds its own stories, Lena observed, her eyes reflecting the flickering flames. Each little spark is like a tale waiting to be told. I like that, Aaron replied, contemplating her words. It's as though they danced to the rhythm of their own adventures. They shared quiet moments, glancing at each other, the warmth of the fire creating an intimate atmosphere. Outside the cabin, the night grew darker, the stars twinkling brighter against the vast sky, a silent audience to the flickering stories unfolding within. As the evening wore on, they began to share their dreams, their aspirations, each revealing a piece of themselves to the other. They spoke of the places they longed to visit, the experiences they hoped to have, and the stories they wished to write together. I want to explore the world, Aaron said, his voice filled with passion, but I want to do it with you. Lena's cheeks flushed with warmth at his words, and she smiled softly. Then let's make our dreams a reality. Together. With the fire crackling softly, they let the conversation drift into the night, each word a building block for the narrative they were creating together. The flames danced higher, creating shadows on the walls, a perfect backdrop for the tales they spun. As the fire dwindled and the night deepened, they wrapped themselves in a blanket, feeling the embrace of warmth against the cool air. Outside, the sound of the ocean continued its lullaby, soothing and constant, a reminder of the world that awaited them even as their small cabin felt like a sanctuary. The stars glimmered through the window, and Aaron felt a deep sense of contentment wash over him. He was grateful for this day, for Lena, and the adventures that lay ahead. As the hours grew late and their eyelids grew heavy, they allowed themselves to be drawn into the safety of the night, letting the mysteries of the universe swirl around them while the warmth of their connection anchored them firmly in the moment. With the soft sound of waves as their constant companion, they closed their eyes, surrendering to the gentle pull of sleep, ready to awaken in the morning and discover once again what stories the world had waiting for them. Tea enveloped him softly, and he drifted deeper into the embrace of a dreamless state, where time felt like a fluid dance, stretching and bending around him. The night wore on, and as the clock ticked softly in the corner of the room, the air grew slightly cooler. A gentle breeze wafted through an open window, bringing with it the salty scent of the sea, mingling with the remnants of the fire's warmth. The sound of waves continued to provide the soothing rhythm, lulling both Aaron and Lena into a peaceful sleep. Outside, the world remained still yet vibrant, the beach only a whisper away from their house. The dunes stood sentinel, shifting ever so slightly under the moonlight, their shapes soft and rounded like the contours of a warm embrace. Nature thrived in this quiet hour, a symphony of soft sounds aligning with the heartbeat of the earth. As the hours passed, a faint shimmer of light began to touch the horizon, breaking through the night like a soft sigh. Even in their slumber, Aaron and Lena felt a pull toward the day that was slowly awakening. He stirred slightly, feeling the warmth of Lena beside him, an anchor amidst the gentle rise and fall of sleep. The whispers of dreams began to fade, replaced by the distant call of gulls waking for a new day. Aaron opened his eyes slowly, adjusting to the soft light that began to seep into the room. He glanced over at Lena, still nestled under their shared blanket, her hair fanned out like golden silk against the pillow. A sense of peace washed over him as he took in the moment, watching her breathe in the slow rhythm of sleep. He slipped quietly from the warmth of their bed, careful not to wake her. The floorboards creaked gently beneath his weight, a familiar sound that reminded him of the stories held within the walls of their cabin. Aaron stepped toward the window and opened it wider, welcoming the fresh morning air. The scent of the ocean mingled with the crispness of the dawn, invigorating him as he looked out onto the vast expanse of shimmering water. The beach was inviting, each wave cascading onto the shore like laughter, urging him to come outside. In that moment, he felt a deep connection to the world around him, the ocean stretching infinitely, the dunes rising like gentle giants, and the sky painted in hues of soft pink and gold. He smiled softly, knowing that today was filled with potential, a canvas awaiting their strokes of adventure. He turned back to see Lena still sleeping peacefully, a soft smile playing at the corners of her mouth. With carefully measured steps, he made his way to the small kitchen, allowing the aroma of fresh coffee to fill the air. He prepared a simple breakfast, bread toasted on the stovetop, eggs simmering in a pan, each sound bringing the cabin to life, a gentle greeting to the day. As the coffee brewed, he ventured outside to step onto the porch, finding a moment to himself. The sun had just begun to climb over the horizon, the warmth slowly wrapping around him like a cherished memory. He took a deep breath, filling his lungs with the salty sea air, and took a moment to appreciate the beauty that surrounded him. The dunes stood proud against the backdrop of the morning sky, a world that felt both familiar and endless. After several peaceful moments, he returned inside, the aroma of breakfast guiding him back to the warmth of their cabin. He placed a steaming cup of coffee on the table beside Lena's sleeping form, knowing that she would soon rise to greet the day. As he moved about the room, the sounds of breakfast began to pull her from her slumber. Aaron couldn't help but smile as Lena stirred, her eyelids fluttering open as she made sense of the morning light filtering in through the window. "Good morning," he greeted softly, his voice filled with warmth. "Good morning," she replied, stretching slightly like a cat waking from a long nap. With a smile that lit her features, she sat up, the blanket slipping to her waist. "What's cooking?" "Just a little something to brighten the morning," he replied, pouring another cup of coffee and sliding it toward her. The two settled into their chairs, the warmth of the sun streaming in through the windows, casting a gentle glow across their faces. They exchanged soft smiles as they shared breakfast, the sounds of clinking plates and the rustle of linen filling the air. Once they had finished their meal, Aaron suggested, "How about a walk on the beach? The morning is beautiful, and I think the waves are calling to us." Lena nodded, her eyes sparkling with anticipation. "That sounds perfect. Let's see what treasures the tide has left for us today." They dressed quickly, donning simple clothes suitable for their coastal adventure, and soon found themselves stepping outside into the soft embrace of the morning sun. The air was fresh, imbued with the scent of salt and freedom, invigorating them as they made their way toward the beach. With each step they took, the cool sand cushioned their feet, the rhythm of the waves beckoning them forward. Gulls soared overhead, their cries filling the air with life, and the sun cast a golden hue across the water, transforming every ripple into sparkling jewels. As they approached the water, Aaron and Lena shared stories, their laughter mingling with the sound of the crashing waves. They collected seashells, each one a unique treasure of the day. The two of them crouched down, fingers brushing against the cool sand as they unearthed vibrant shells, smooth stones, and flotsam from the sea. "Look at this one," Lena exclaimed, holding up a delicate conch shell, its spirals beautifully crafted by nature's hand. "Isn't it lovely?" Aaron nodded, admiring the colors that danced across the surface. "It feels like a little piece of the ocean, doesn't it?" With each shell they discovered, they exchanged stories about the places they might visit, the beaches they longed to explore, and the adventures awaiting them just beyond the horizon. The excitement of possibilities filled the air like the salty breeze. After spending time along the shore, they wandered up toward the dunes, seeking the higher ground for a better view of the ocean. The climb was invigorating, and as they reached the top, the sight before them took their breath away. The vast expanse of the ocean stretched endlessly, melting into the horizon where it kissed the sky. "Can you imagine where that water leads?" Aaron mused, gazing out at the horizon. "Somewhere far away, I hope," Lena replied, her eyes wide with wonder. They stood together, side by side, embracing the moment. The warmth of the sun atop the dunes felt like a gentle hug, allowing them to soak in the beauty surrounding them. Eventually, they descended and wandered back toward their cabin, feeling the sand beneath their feet and the sun upon their backs. As they arrived, they decided to rest for a while, finding shade beneath the porch where the gentle whispers of the ocean became their background music once more. "Let's write," Lena suggested, pulling a notebook from her satchel. A quiet excitement danced between them as they settled down, each grabbing a pencil and allowing the morning's adventures to flow onto the pages, capturing thoughts and dreams like the tide capturing driftwood. They wrote stories of their future, penned letters to themselves that spoke of hopes and aspirations, and doodled simple sketches of the beautiful shells they had collected. Each word and illustration became another thread woven into the story of their day, binding them closer together. As they continued to capture their thoughts under the shade of the porch, the day gradually gave into afternoon, casting longer shadows that danced playfully in the sunlight. The waves, ever constant, became their metronome, matching the pulse of inspiration that flowed freely between them. After several hours of creativity, they decided to prepare light lunch, taking turns in the small kitchen, each testing their skills at whipping up something simple yet fulfilling. The mood was light, filled with playful teasing and gentle laughter, each moment an echo of their growing connection. Once lunch was done, they took their time to wash the dishes, the rhythmic clinking of plates and utensils creating a soothing background melody. Afterward, they stepped outside once more, the afternoon sun warm on their skin as they reflected on the morning and the stories already coming to life in words and sketches. "Let's head back to the beach," Aaron suggested. "There's still time to explore." Lena nodded, her eyes lighting up at the idea. They set off once again, hand in hand, the warmth of the sun on their backs and the ocean breeze caressing their faces. As they reached the shoreline, they noticed a collection of smoothly polished driftwood scattered along the sand, each piece shaped by the sea's caress. The wood was beautiful, each piece a unique echo of the journey it had taken. "Look at these," Lena exclaimed, bending down to examine a particularly twisted piece, its form resembling a sculpted tree. "We could use them to build something, maybe a little sculpture." Aaron considered this. "That sounds wonderful. We could create something that reflects our adventures here." They spent the afternoon gathering the driftwood, collecting pieces of all shapes and sizes, their imaginations running wild with ideas. The beach became their canvas, and as they worked together, laughter filled the air. Each piece of wood was carefully selected and arranged, their creation slowly taking shape amidst the backdrop of the crashing waves. As the afternoon waned, the sky began to shift, hues of orange, pink, and lavender painting the horizon. Aaron and Lena stood back to admire their sculpture of whimsical representation of the ocean waves, adorned with shells and bits of glass that sparkled like stars in the dusk. "It feels like a little piece of us," Aaron said, gazing proudly at their creation. Lena smiled, her face illuminated by the soft colors of the sunset. "It really does a memory of today." They held hands as they returned to the cabin, the twilight deepening around them. Inside, the quietness felt comforting, a gentle pause before night fell fully. Aaron tended to the fireplace, adding a few more logs to the embers, while Lena fetched a soft blanket to drape over their shoulders. They settled into their chairs once more, the warmth from the fire mirroring the glow of the sunset outside. "Today has been incredible," Lena said, her gaze flickering between the flames and Aaron's face. Aaron nodded, the day's memories swirling around them like soft whispers. "I'm glad we shared it." The night grew deeper, the stars re-emerging in the blanket of dark sky, twinkling as though twirling in celebration of the day that had unfolded. Outside, the sound of the waves continued their soothing lullaby, a gentle reminder that tomorrow would bring new adventures. As they sat close, the fire crackled, wrapping them in warmth and light. They resumed their storytelling, allowing the day's events to flow into words that painted pictures of dreams for their future. Their voices mingled with the sounds of nature outside, each tale a sweet promise of moments yet to come. As the flames flickered, casting playful shadows around the room, the warmth of their connection enveloped them, a cocoon of comfort and safety. Hours slipped by, and Aaron felt the gentle pull of sleep beckoning once more. "Let's call it a night," he suggested, his voice soft and reassuring. Lena nodded, her eyes heavy, yet filled with the sparkle of dreams shared. Together, they slipped beneath the blankets once more, the warmth surrounding them like a cherished memory. As they lay there, the soothing sounds of the waves outside began to blend with the gentle rhythm of their breaths. The world slowed, and they surrendered to the tranquility of the night, cocooned in dreams waiting to unfold. With thoughts drifting to the adventures yet to come, Aaron felt a deep sense of peace settle within him. Tomorrow would be another day filled with stories and laughter, the future waiting just beyond the horizon, ready to be embraced together. As the night deepened around them, the mysteries of the universe swirled softly, and they nestled closer together, comforted by the knowledge that they would wake to a new dawn, the promise of their shared journey alive and their hearts carrying the fresh scent of salt and pine. Aaron stirred again, blinking slowly as awareness seeped into his mind, battling against the remnants of sleep. He turned slightly to see Lena still peacefully nestled beside him, her face serene under the soft light of the moon. The shadows flickered, dancing across the walls, creating intricate patterns that seemed to tell their own stories. He took a moment to absorb the quietness, the stillness of the night, and then slipped out from under the blankets, careful not to disturb her. He padded softly to the small kitchen area, drawn by the promise of a warm cup of tea. The fireplace still glowed, embers sparking gently as they burned low, and he added a few small twigs to keep the warmth alive. Steam rose gracefully from the kettle as he set it over the flame. With a short wait, the soft bubbling sound filled the silence, mingling with the soft crash of waves outside. Aaron admired the simple beauty of his surroundings, the polished wooden countertop, the quaint kettle, the lingering scent of smoke from the fire, everything a reminder of the home they had created together, nestled near the coastal dunes. Once the kettle was ready, he poured the steaming water over a blend of herbs. The aroma curled up into the air, warming him from the inside out. As he waited for the tea to steep, he gazed out of the window, where the moonlight reflected off the ocean, casting a shimmering path across the water. It seemed to stretch endlessly into the horizon, a silver ribbon dancing in the night, inviting thoughts of adventures yet to unfold. The soft sound of Lena's voice, still dreamy from sleep, reached him as she stirred in the blanket. "What are you up to?" she inquired, her eyes slowly opening, revealing the warmth within. "Just making us some tea," he replied, smiling as he turned back to her. "Thought it might be nice to enjoy a warm cup while the night carries on." Lena smiled back, her hair tousled but her spirit vibrant. "That sounds perfect. It feels like a night made for stories." She pushed herself up, the blanket falling away to reveal a nightgown that caught the moonlight, soft and inviting. Aaron poured the tea into two earthen mugs, the steam rising in delicate tendrils. He walked back to her, offering her a mug before settling beside her on the low wooden chair. Their knees touched, the warmth of the tea radiating between them as they sit quietly, letting the comfort of the night settle around them like a well-worn quilt. "Do you think we'll ever explore the old lighthouse?" Aaron asked, contemplation in his tone. The lighthouse had always piqued their curiosity, situated further along the coast, standing sentinel against the waves and time. Lena's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. "I hope so. It has such a history. Imagine the stories it could tell." They exchanged ideas, their voices soft and surrounded by the calmness of the night. Each word felt like a promise shared, building a bridge toward tomorrow. They spoke of the treasures they might find and the views they might see, laying plans that shimmered like the stars overhead. After their cups were drained, Aaron placed the mugs on the table, the delicate clinking of pottery breaking the silence as he glanced out at the moonlit sea again. "The tides must be low tonight," he noted, remembering how, on certain nights, the waves would retreat, leaving behind hidden coves and treasures among the rocks. "Maybe we could take a stroll along the beach," Lena suggested, her voice imbued with eagerness. "Feel the sand beneath our feet, see what the sea has gifted us." The idea resonated, and Aaron felt his heart lift with the prospect of wandering hand in hand along the shoreline, beneath the stars. "Let's do it," he replied, rising from his chair. I'll grab a couple of blankets." They gathered the soft, woven blankets from the couch, wrapping them around their shoulders as they stepped outside. The cool air embraced them, laced with the scent of the sea, a refreshing contrast to the warmth of inside. They ventured out, the soft crunch of sand beneath their feet blending with the distant rhythm of the waves. Moonlight spilled like liquid silver across the beach, illuminating the path ahead. The dunes, gentle giants, rose up behind them, their forms shifting and soft under the light. Aaron and Lena walked closely together, their laughter mingling with the sounds of nature, each step a venture into the tranquility that enveloped them. As they reached the water's edge, the ocean glimmered invitingly, each wave sparkling with the light of the stars above. They paused, gazing out into the vastness, where the horizon seemed to blend seamlessly with the sky. The sight held a mystical allure, and for a moment they stood together in silence, absorbing the beauty of the night. "Look," Lena said, pointing toward the shoreline that stretched into dark shapes against the waves. "Do you think we might find shells or perhaps some sea glass?" "Let's see what the sea has left for us," Aaron replied, taking her hand in his as they ventured forward. The cool water lapped gently at their ankles, sending a shiver of delight through them. They wandered along the edge, the moonlight guiding their way, as they picked through the sand, searching for treasures. They found smooth stones, bits of driftwood, and shells in varied shades, each one a unique piece of nature's artistry. Aaron held up a particularly beautiful shell, its spirals etched by the tides, glistening in the moonlight. "This one looks like it holds a story," he mused, turning it over in his palm. Lena leaned closer, admiring it. It could tell tales of its journey through the water, the creatures it has seen. They continued their exploration, each shell a small fragment of a larger narrative, a reminder of the ocean's grandeur and the adventures waiting in its depths. The waves whispered their own secrets as they washed ashore, a soothing reminder of the life that pulsed beneath the surface. After collecting a handful of treasures, they settled on the warm sand, allowing the cool breeze to caress their faces. "This is perfect," Lena said, letting out a contented sigh. "Just us, the ocean, and the night sky." Aaron glanced at her, the soft lines of her face illuminated under the moonlight. "I couldn't agree more," he replied, squeezing her hand lightly. They shared stories and dreams under that vast expanse, the twinkling stars their silent companions. Time felt fluid, stretching beautifully as they exchanged hopes and wonders. The night embraced them, and within that embrace they felt a deepening connection, the very fabric of their bond woven through quiet moments and shared laughter. As they looked out at the vastness, Aaron contemplated the mysteries lying beyond the horizon. "Do you think we'll always find new adventures?" He wondered aloud, the question floating softly into the night. "I believe so," Lena replied, her gaze steady on the stars. "Every day will bring something new, and we'll explore it together, just like this." With comfort settled in their hearts, they remained nestled in each other's warmth, reflecting on all the myriad possibilities life had to offer. The waves continued their gentle lull, the sand beneath them warm, and the stars overhead twinkling in agreement. Eventually, they rose, gathering their treasures and heading back toward the cabin. The journey felt dreamy, with a cool breeze against their skin and soft laughter trailing behind them. The night wrapped around them like a treasured memory, a moment to hold close even as the shadows deepened. Once inside, they placed their collected shells on the table, arranging them carefully as though each one held a fragment of a story waiting to be told. The room was aglow with the quiet warmth of the embers, casting flickering shadows against the walls. As they settled back into their chairs, the tea kettle now empty and the world outside peaceful, Aaron reached for Lena's hand. "What do you think tomorrow will bring?" he asked, his curiosity piqued again. Lena smiled, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Whatever it is, I know that it will be beautiful, just like today. The sun will rise, the tides will shift, and we'll be right here, ready to greet it." The warmth of her words wrapped around Aaron, a gentle promise of more adventures, more stories waiting to be spun into reality. The stars twinkled outside, each a little beacon of hope for their future, a reminder that life held wonders beyond the horizon, just waiting for them to discover. They settled down as the night deepened, breathing in the calming rhythm of the waves outside. The shadows danced gently around them, and the warmth of the cabin cocooned them in safety. In the quiet of the night, Aaron let his mind drift, filled with dreams of tomorrow, dreams of love, laughter, and the adventures they would share together. And as sleep began to veil them once more, the world outside continued its quiet dance, the waves murmuring secrets of the sea, cradling them in a peaceful embrace as they welcomed the mysteries yet to unfold. The night flowed on smoothly, cradled in an almost tangible stillness. The rhythmic sound of the waves outside the cabin draped Ariane and Lena in a tranquil blanket, muffling the world beyond their walls. Time drifted like a feather caught in a gentle breeze, unhurried and serene. As Aaron drifted deeper into the soothing depths of sleep, he found himself wandering through a dreamscape painted in soft hues of blue and silver. The beach, bathed in moonlight, stretched infinitely before him, the sand cool beneath his bare feet. He felt an urge to explore. The sea called to him, its voice sweet and inviting. In the vividness of his slumber, he spotted Lena walking ahead, her form outlined against the luminescence of the water. She turned back, smiling, and Aaron could see the joy written across her features. Her laughter floated toward him, light and airy, like a distant melody. He hurried toward her, feeling the grains of sand slip between his toes, the cool sprinkle of ocean mist kissing his skin. In this dream, the air was thick with possibilities. He reached out for Lena's hand, and together they ventured into the gentle surf, the water swirling lovingly around their ankles. The sound of their laughter mingled with the whispers of the waves, filling the air with an airy lightness, and as they waded deeper, the world around them twinkled with a kind of magic that belonged only to dreams. But as the dream began to wane, a subtle shift in the ambience nudged Aaron awake. The soft gleam of embers in the fireplace flickered and danced, casting a warm glow over everything in the small cabin. He blinked slowly, his gaze settling on Lena, still nestled in the chair beside him, lost in her own peaceful dreams. The shadows of the room stretched and shifted, whispering secrets of their own yet remaining content in the stillness of the night. Rolling slightly onto his side, Aaron took a moment to appreciate the tranquility. The wind outside carried the scent of the sea, and he could hear the faintest crash of waves, a comforting reminder of their closeness to the ocean. His heart swelled with gratitude. The world felt safe and secure, cocooned in this wooden haven. As the night continued its gentle march toward dawn, Aaron rose quietly, careful not to disturb the serene atmosphere. He made his way to the small kitchen, where the remnants of their tea lingered on the table. The kettle sat beside the hearth, and he decided it wouldn't be long before he prepared another brew. The kitchen, though modest, was warm and homely, with wooden shelves lined with jars of herbs and spices, a testament to their simple yet fulfilling life. He reached for the kettle, feeling its smooth, cool surface under his palm as he filled it with fresh water. The ritual of preparing tea was a comforting one, and as he set the kettle on the stove, he glanced out the window. The world outside was painted in the softest shades of indigo, the stars still twinkling like tiny lanterns scattered across the sky. In the distance, the outline of the dunes rose gently, their curves silhouetted against the stars. A patch of pale light began to blossom on the horizon, hinting at the dawn that was quietly approaching. With the kettle warming, he took a moment to breathe, to enjoy the simplicity of this life they had chosen. Each moment stretched out like the horizon, promising new beginnings and endless possibilities. A contented smile crept across his face as he thought of the adventures that awaited them when morning finally broke. The sound of the kettle whistling gently brought him back, and he poured the steaming water over the tea leaves, watching as they unfurled and released their rich aroma into the air. He placed a couple of mugs on the table, allowing the steam to rise and fill the room with its comforting scent. As if sensing the warmth of the moment, Lena stirred from her slumber. She blinked a few times, slowly adjusting to the glow of the kitchen light. Her eyes found Aaron, and a soft smile blossomed on her lips, the kind that ignited the early morning like the first rays of sunlight. "Good morning," she said, her voice sleep-laden yet warm. "Morning," he replied. pouring her a cup of tea and sliding it gently across the table toward her. "I thought we could start the day with a little warmth." She picked up the mug, cradling it between her hands, and inhaled deeply. "It smells wonderful, just what I needed," she said, taking a sip and allowing the warmth to settle within. They exchanged a quiet moment, the gentle clinking of porcelain the only sound in the cozy cabin. Aaron's heart swelled with affection as he observed Lena's glowing expression, her hair tousled and her eyes still holding the remnants of night's dreams. After a brief silence, Lena set her cup back on the table and leaned in closer, her tone light. "What are we going to do today?" "Perhaps the lighthouse," Aaron suggested, picturing the aged structure standing tall against the waves, a sentinel watching over the coast. "I've been curious about its history." Lena nodded eagerly, the idea sparking excitement in her eyes. "Yes, I've always wanted to see it up close. Maybe we can climb to the top and look out across the ocean." The thought of the breathtaking view from the lighthouse wrapped around them like a promise, stirring visions of their shared moments together. They would see the world from above, the vastness of the sea unfurling before them like a beautiful quilt. Daylight began stealing into the cabin, filtering through the window and casting golden patches of light across the floor. The atmosphere shimmered with possibility, urging them to rise from their seats and embrace the morning. They finished their tea, savoring the warm flavors that lingered on their tongues, and began to prepare for their day. After tidying up, they gathered their belongings, the excitement of adventure fueling their movements. As they stepped outside, the crisp morning air filled their lungs, refreshing and invigorating. They set off toward the coast, the path leading them through the tall grass that bordered the dunes, each blade kissed by the soft light of the early sun. The world around them awoke, a soft chorus of birds on filling the air, and the gentle rustling of the grass created a serene backdrop to their steps. Aaron could feel the promise of the day unfolding, like the petals of a flower opening toward the sun. As they walked, Lena picked a few wildflowers growing along the path, their vibrant colors contrasting beautifully against the greenery. She offered them to Aaron, a delighted sparkle in her eye. "For our collection," she said, tucking them carefully into his pocket. They approached the foot of the lighthouse, its weathered stones standing in stoic silence. The structure rose high, its white paint peeling gently in places, like stories faded yet still rich with history. The door creaked open as they pushed against it, revealing a narrow spiral staircase that wound its way up into the heart of the lighthouse. With each step they climbed, the excitement gathered between them, an unspoken bond that tied their hearts closer with the ascent. The walls, adorned with faded photographs of previous keepers and their families, whispered tales of the past, a gentle reminder of the lives that had come before. At the top, they emerged onto the balcony, and the sight that greeted them was breathtaking. The sea stretched out endlessly, a brilliant canvas painted in shimmering blues and greens, while the sky above was a masterpiece of soft clouds. The waves danced below, their movements rhythmic, mirroring the heartbeat of the earth. Lena took a deep breath, inhaling the salty air, and a look of sheer wonder adorned her face. "It's more beautiful than I imagined," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Just like this moment," Aaron replied, feeling the weight of happiness settle warmly in his chest. They stood side by side, the wind tousling their hair and wrapping around them, invigorating yet comforting. Together, they watched as the sun continued to climb, casting a golden light that sparkled on the surface of the water. They spent the afternoon exploring the rocky outcrops nearby, searching for shells and small treasures washed ashore by the tide. Each discovery felt like finding a piece of the ocean's story, a fragment of history waiting to be cherished. As the day wore on, they played along the water's edge, laughter mixing with the sound of the surf. Aaron felt lighter than air, the worries of the world falling away with each step they took in the sand. The sun began its slow descent toward the horizon, stretching shadows over the coast. They found a cozy spot on a dune, settling down to watch the brilliant colors of the sunset wash over the sky, hues of orange and pink blending seamlessly. "This is perfect," Lena remarked, leaning back against Aaron, her head resting against his shoulder. The warmth of the sun's last rays wrapped around them like a soft blanket, and the peacefulness of the moment cocooned them in quiet contentment. As dusk fell, the sky transformed slowly, stars appearing one by one, twinkling brightly against the deepening blue. The world felt imbued with magic, the kind that lingered in the air long after the colors faded. They watched as the last sliver of sunlight sank below the horizon, giving way to the night. Aaron closed his eyes for a moment, inhaling the salty ocean air, the sound of waves a gentle lullaby pulling at his senses. It felt as though time stood still, and the universe wrapped them in a familiar embrace, safe and secure. With the sky now a canvas of stars, they began their walk back to the cabin, their hearts full of cherished memories and promises of more adventures yet to unfold. The sound of the ocean remained ever present, a constant companion guiding them home. Inside, they settled once again into the warmth of the cabin, a space filled with memories from the day. The embers flickered softly in the fireplace, a gentle reminder of the moments shared. As they warmed their hands around mugs of tea, they recounted the highlights of the day, finding unique shells, the mesmerizing view from the lighthouse, and the laughter that echoed across the dunes. As the night deepened, the ambience shifted to a soothing calm. They spoke less, letting the comfort of silence weave around them, punctuated only by the crackling of the fire and the distant sound of the waves outside. Aaron caught Lena's gaze, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the embers, and in that moment he felt a profound sense of connection. The promise of tomorrow lingered in the air, a gentle reminder that each new day held the potential for more beauties waiting to be discovered. With hearts full and minds wandering toward dreams, they drifted into a peaceful sleep, the warmth of the fire and the gentle lull of the ocean coalescing into a serene embrace, wrapping them in a world where love, adventure, and tranquility would always await. The moon's silvery glow cast a delicate light into the cabin, filtering through the small window and painting soft patterns across the wooden floor. Aaron found himself lost in the charged stillness of night, the familiar sounds of the ocean whispering secrets just beyond the walls. As he settled deeper into his chair, the warmth of the fire radiated lovingly, urging him toward the gentle pull of slumber. Lena's hand lingered in his, warm and steady. He looked at her, the light reflecting in her softly closed eyes, evoking a feeling of peace that made the world outside feel distant. They had spent the day exploring together, yet he felt as though every moment shared created an entire universe in their hearts. It was comforting to think how every wave that crashed upon the shore could echo their laughter, how even the stars twinkled in rhythm with their shared dreams. After a while, he gently released her hand, careful not to disturb her rest. He rose from his chair, the floorboards creaking softly beneath his weight, and gazed toward the window, drawn to the night sky. The stars sparkled with an ancient brightness, and he felt a quiet connection to the universe, small yet significant in its vastness. Each twinkle seemed to carry whispers of stories untold, the shimmering lights holding mysteries just waiting to be unraveled. The fireplace crackled softly, a firefly dancing amidst the shadows. Aaron picked up a piece of driftwood they had found that evening, its surface worn smooth by the ocean's caress. He traced his fingers over its contours, imagining the journey it had taken, floating upon the waves, carried along currents, before finally resting here, in their cabin, surrounded by warmth and comfort. As he placed the driftwood back on the table, his gaze drifted to the shelves adorned with shells, each one a token of their adventures, treasures collected from the shoreline. They had spoken about creating a memory wall where they would arrange the shells in artistic patterns, a reminder that their days at the coast were filled with laughter and exploration. Aaron smiled at the thought. It was a shared ambition, a little project that would tie together the threads of their experiences. The thought deepened his sense of belonging, as though each shell carried a small piece of their journey, a voice of its own, whispering stories of the tides and the ever-changing shore. A low sigh escaped his lips, and he turned his attention back to Lena, still enveloped in her dreams. He found solace in her presence, and the tranquility that filled the cabin was a comforting balm against the backdrop of a world busy with life. Outside, the wind rustled gently through the trees, creating a sound reminiscent of soft murmurs, life in harmony with the rhythm of the waves. Feeling a pull toward the night, Aaron grabbed his coat, deciding to step outside for a moment. The air was cool against his skin, refreshing and crisp. The night sky stretched infinitely, a vast ocean of stars, and he took a deep breath, inhaling the salty scent of the sea mixed with the sweet fragrance of pine. It felt as though the night itself was alive, breathing in unison with the waves. He walked toward the edge of the dunes, his footsteps leaving patterns in the sand that the next tide would soon erase. The sound of the surf grew louder, enveloping him in a comforting embrace. He stood there for a moment, letting the ocean's rhythm guide his thoughts. In the distance, the lighthouse stood sentinel against the night, its beam cutting through the darkness, a guiding light for any wayward traveler. Tomorrow, he thought, they could visit it. They had talked about climbing to the top, where the view would stretch for miles, an expanse of ocean and sky that would hold the promise of new discoveries. Clarity washed over him as he gazed up at the stars, the constellations telling tales of far-off places, adventures waiting to unfold. He envisioned themselves on the beach, gathering more shells, perhaps building a sandcastle, or even lying back on the warm sand, counting the stars as they shared stories of their childhoods. A sense of connection to the world wrapped around Aaron like a comforting blanket. It reminded him that even in the quiet of the night, life was abundant. The whisper of the wind, the call of distant gulls, and the gentle crashing of the waves were a reminder of nature's relentless symphony. He felt a sudden urge to capture the magic of the moment, to hold it close as they moved forward together. The memories they created would be like stars in their own personal sky, guiding them through life's unpredictability. With a soft contentment swelling in his chest, he turned back toward the cabin, the warm light spilling from the window drawing him in. Stepping inside, he found that Lena had shifted slightly, her face now tilted toward the fire. The soft glow illuminated the features of her face beautifully, and he felt a rush of affection wash over him. Aaron settled back into his chair, drawing his own coat around him, comforted by the warmth of the cabin. Outside, the waves continued their melodic dance, and the stars above held witness to their shared life, guiding them through the veil of night. As he closed his eyes, he allowed the sounds around him to weave into the fabric of his dreams. The rhythmic pulse of the ocean, the crackle of the fire, and the warmth of Lena nearby created a tapestry of serenity. He imagined their adventures together, the places they would go, and the stories they would collect like seashells from the shore. Time stretched and softened, the edges of reality blurring as Aaron slipped deeper into sleep. In this peaceful realm, there were no barriers, no doubts, only the promise of tomorrow and the joy of shared moments waiting just beyond the horizon. He felt a serenity that filled his heart, knowing that whatever awaited them, they would explore it hand in hand, side by side, discovering the wonders of life from their small wooden house near the coastal dunes. And so, in the heart of the night, with dreams woven from the threads of love and adventure, Aaron surrendered to the gentle embrace of sleep, where the mysteries of the world awaited, shimmering like the stars in the sky above brace of sleep once more, knowing that the night held both peace and promise. The world outside the cabin faded away, letting dreams weave their own stories, rich with colors and sensations of the day behind him. As he drifted off, visions of the lighthouse danced in his mind. It stood tall, steadfast against the roaring winds and crashing waves, guiding lost ships back home. Perhaps tomorrow he would explore its secrets, the spiral staircase leading up to the light that pierced the darkness, illuminating the sea like a beacon of hope. He imagined the view from the top, feeling the salty breeze as it tousled his hair, the sound of the ocean mingling with the call of distant gulls. Hours passed quietly in the cabin, the only sound the soft crackling of the embers and the distant lullaby of the waves. Dreaming vividly, Aaron found himself walking along the beach, the sand warm beneath his feet. He felt the familiar presence of Lena beside him, her laughter echoing as they raced toward the surf, the waves playfully splashing against their legs. With each step, the grains of sand shifted underfoot, warm and comforting, as though the earth itself welcomed them. They spent hours scribbling in the sand, drawing whimsical shapes that would soon be washed away, yet felt significant in their fleeting existence. The ocean foamed and churned, each wave a reminder of the pulse of life, and as it played, all worries faded into the horizon, swallowed by the vastness of the sea. When morning light filtered through the window, Aaron stirred, lazily pulling himself from the depths of his dreams. The sun was just beginning to rise, casting golden rays over the coastal dunes, a soft promise of a new day. Lena had shifted during the night, her head resting against the arm of the chair, a serene look etched across her features. He smiled fondly at her, feeling gratitude swell in his heart. After a while, he rose, careful not to disturb her slumber. He padded over to the kitchen, the floorboards creaking softly beneath his weight. The kettle, still warm from the previous night, was ready for another round of tea. As he set it on the stove, he set about gathering the shells and driftwood they had collected, admiring the unique curves and textures of each piece. They were tiny works of art shaped by the relentless ocean, and he felt a feeling of pride at their finds. Just as the kettle began to whistle, Lena stirred, her eyes fluttering open. He turned, holding out a steaming cup of tea toward her, his heart lightened by the simple act of sharing their morning. "Good morning." He said softly, "Good morning." She replied, a sleepy smile breaking across her face as she accepted the cup, cradling it between her hands. The warmth radiated, filling her with comfort as she took a sip, her eyes sparkling with the sun's golden glow. "Have you thought about where we might explore today?" he asked, settling back into his chair, his own cup steaming gently in his hands. Lena pondered for a moment, her gaze drifting toward the window, where the sun painted the sky in hues of pink and orange. "What about the lighthouse? It should be beautiful at dawn." Then it settled, he said, his excitement kindling at the thought of their adventure. "We can explore the old trails along the cliffs afterwards, maybe discover a hidden cove or two." "I'm looking forward to it," she replied, her voice still tinged with sleep, but her enthusiasm evident. They shared a comfortable silence, sipping tea while watching the sun rise higher, the world outside waking in gentle bursts of life. After breakfast, the cabin was filled with the sounds of rustling fabrics and the soft thud of their boots as they prepared for the day. Aaron gathered a small backpack, tucking in a couple of sandwiches and a flask of fresh water, while Lena pulled on a light jacket, the morning air still holding a crispness that hinted at the lingering chill of night. They stepped outside, the world around them vibrant and full of possibility. The dunes rose and fell like waves frozen in time, and the salty tang of the sea lingered in the air. Together, they began their walk toward the lighthouse, the warm sun kissing their skin as they made their way along the winding paths that bordered the beach. Each step brought forth the familiar sound of sand shifting beneath their feet, the gentle crunch echoing in the early morning stillness. The rhythmic calls of seagulls filled the air, and the distant waves crashing provided a comforting soundtrack to their adventure. They shared bits of conversation, discussing their dreams as they moved, the shy beginnings of plans unfurling like sails catching the wind. As they neared the lighthouse, its tall white tower stood out against the bright blue sky, its red roof a vivid splash among the muted tones of the landscape. It looked inviting, a sturdy guardian of the coast. They climbed the grassy knoll leading up to the base, Aaron's heart racing at the anticipation of what lay within. Stepping inside, they were greeted by the cool air and the scent of warm wood mingling with the salt from the ocean. The circular room held a spiral staircase at its heart, winding up toward the light high above. They exchanged excited glances, and without hesitation, jumped onto the first step, ascending together, the faint creaks of the stairwell harmonizing with their laughter. With each turn, the world outside became more expansive, and Aaron felt a thrill surge within him. He reached the top first, stepping into an open chamber where the glass lantern encased the brilliant beacon. He turned, breathless from the climb, and watched as Lena joined him, her expression radiant, filled with wonder. The view was breathtaking. The ocean stretched endlessly before them, its waves sparkling like diamonds under the sun's warm light. The coastal path snaked along the edge, the beach dotted with colorful pebbles and shells, a place they longed to explore further. Wind tousled their hair and caressed their cheeks, feeling like a soft hand guiding them into the boundless horizon. As they gazed out, Aaron felt that this moment, this connection, was woven into the very fabric of who they were, the lighthouse a symbol of guidance, a promise of always finding their way back to each other, no matter where life led them. Lena turned to him with excitement dancing in her eyes. From up here, I can almost see the hidden coves. Can you imagine what treasures we might find? I can, he said, his heart swelling with the idea of myriad adventures ahead. Let's make a pact. Today, we'll uncover every hidden secret along this coast. With that, they descended the stairs, their laughter echoing through the lighthouse. They stepped outside once more, the sun now high in the sky, their spirits buoyed by the anticipation of exploration. The path along the coast called to them, promising discoveries and shared moments, a beautiful day stretching endlessly before them. As they walked along the water's edge, the grains of sand warming beneath their feet, Aaron felt a profound sense of gratitude. Every wave that lapped at the shore spoke of adventures to come, and every gentle breeze brought with it the voices of the past, reminding him that life was a collection of moments just waiting to unfold. They wandered, hand in hand, the sounds of laughter mingling with the crash of waves, the vibrant world around them alive with colors, scents, and sounds. They paused to explore every nook and cranny they encountered, gathering a new collection of shells and pebbles, each piece a small reminder of their journey. As the sun began its descent, casting a warm golden light over the landscape, they turned their focus to the soft hills of the dunes. The shadows grew long, the air cooled, and a gentle evening breeze whispered secrets among the grasses. They found a perfect spot atop a small dune, overlooking the shimmering horizon, and sat down, letting the sand cradle them like a gentle embrace. Beneath the expansive sky, they shared stories of the day, of the discoveries they made and the treasures they held. Each glance exchanged, every smile shared seemed to deepen the connection between them, the warmth of companionship wrapping around them as soothing as the setting sun. As the sky transitioned into beautiful shades of orange and pink, Aaron pulled out their finds from the day. Each shell and pebble gathered under the watchful eye of the lighthouse now lay before them. They admired the intricate patterns, the stories each piece held, as though the ocean had shared its secrets. There was a profound stillness surrounding them, the world quieting as day transitioned into night. The last rays of sunlight faded, leaving behind a canvas sprinkled with stars, a soft light igniting the vastness above them. They both fell silent, lost in awe, the beauty of the moment pulling them closer together. When the stars appeared in full, they turned toward each other, hands instinctively seeking out the warmth of the other. The ocean's lullaby played in the background, and they shared quiet thoughts as shadows danced around them, illuminated by the light of the cosmos. Aaron felt time pause, the world around them swirling in a gentle haze of wonder. He leaned in closer to Lena, their foreheads touching, sharing dreams and aspirations under the night sky. It was a connection so profound, grounding, and yet freeing, as though they were carving their own constellation in the universe. Eventually, the night deepened, and the cool breeze drifted in from the sea. They knew it was time to return to their small wooden house near the dunes. Reluctantly, they gathered their treasures and started the walk back, the soft sands feeling welcome beneath their feet. As they entered the cabin, the warmth enveloped them, a stark contrast to the cool air outside. The fire had been rekindled, the embers glowing cheerfully against the dark wood of the walls. They placed their gathered treasures on the table, marveling at how a simple day had filled their lives with magic and joy. After a light dinner, they settled into their chairs by the fire once more, the warmth wrapping around them like a familiar blanket. They shared the stories of their day, reliving each moment, laughter echoing softly. The lanterns outside cast gentle silhouettes against the cabin, a comforting reminder of the adventures they had embraced. As the hours slipped by, Aaron turned his gaze toward Lena, who sat absorbed in the shells they had collected. He admired the way her fingers traced the delicate curves, her brow furrowed in concentration. In those moments, he felt an overwhelming sense of peace, as though all the pieces of their lives fit perfectly together like the shells on the table. When the fire slowly began to fade, they exchanged sleepy glances, the day's explorations finally catching up to them. With a shared understanding, they prepared for the rest that awaited them. They brushed their teeth, washed their faces, and slipped into comfortable clothes, the simple rituals of the night holding a soothing familiarity. As they settled into their bed, the soft sound of the ocean mingling with the gentle crackle of the last embers created a serenade that lulled Aaron into comfort. Lena snuggled close, their bodies fitting together easily, warmth radiating from one another like the sun they had embraced all day. Tomorrow, there's still more to explore, Aaron whispered as he turned his head to see her eyes glinting with excitement. Always more to discover, she replied, her voice a soft lull. With that, they surrendered to the embrace of sleep, the adventures of the day painted vividly in their dreams, each wave and star promise of tomorrow's journey. In that tranquil space, surrounded by the echoes of the day's joys and the soft hum of the night, Aaron felt raw gratitude envelop him, a comforting reminder that they were right where they belonged. The gentle rhythm of the waves continued outside, murmuring tales of the vast ocean, while inside, the cabin held their laughter, their dreams, and the tender warmth of shared moments, a small haven amid the ever-turning world. And so they drifted into slumber, ready to embrace whatever the next day might bring, hand in hand beneath the timeless sky urge of the fire, feeling the tranquility of the night wash over him. The moon above hung high in the sky, its beams completing the scene of a perfect evening inside their small wooden house. Aaron's eyes fluttered, the shadows of the flickering flames creating playful shapes upon the walls, as though telling stories of their own. He chuckled softly, imagining the figures dancing merrily, just as their laughter had earlier. Time flowed lazily, and the world outside blended seamlessly with the coziness of their cabin. Wrapped in the gentle embrace of the night, Aaron felt safe, the rhythmic pulse of the ocean a persistent heartbeat that matched his own. After a while, the fire began to lose its fervor, embers glowing like tiny stars in a cosmic sky. Aaron stood, stretching his limbs and shaking off the soothing drowsiness that threatened to drag him into deeper sleep. He approached the fireplace, adding a couple of logs, coaxing the fire to life again with a few precise movements. The crackle of flames filled the air with warmth, casting a golden hue onto Lena's sleeping form. He returned to her side, gently brushing a strand of hair from her face. Her lips curled slightly, a soft smile gracing her features even in sleep. The sight filled Aaron with warmth, a tender moment he wished to preserve forever. He sank into his chair again, sipping on a cool cup of tea, thankful for the day they had shared. The comforting sounds of the ocean continued outside, mingling seamlessly with the soft crackle of the fire. He could hear the distant call of a night bird, a reminder of the life that thrived around them even in the dark hours. Closing his eyes, he allowed those sounds to drift him into thoughts of their day searching for shells, running fingers through the soft sand, and the laughter that had echoed beneath the stars. Time slipped slowly past, and with each passing moment the cabin grew quieter, wrapped in a blanket of night. The winds outside whispered tales of the sea, stories of far-off lands and adventures yet to be had. Aaron envisioned the coastline stretching beyond their little corner of the world, with treasures waiting to be uncovered just for them. He could picture the old lighthouse, its light cutting through the fog and guiding sailors home. Perhaps, tomorrow, they would make their way to explore it, to feel its history wrapped around them, to tread the path that many had walked before. A gentle thrill coursed through him at the thought. The flames flickered, drawing his attention back to the present. The fire danced before him, illuminating the room with a comforting glow. Each crackle felt like a reminder to appreciate these fleeting moments, to cherish the simplicity of shared silence and the warmth of the space they had created together. His mind drifted again, now painting images of the hidden coves, where the ocean kissed the rocks and secrets lay beneath the waves. He imagined Lena by his side, laughter spilling forth as they explored, the salty breeze teasing their hair, the joyous cries of seagulls overhead. A smile crept onto his face as he envisioned their footprints in the sand, a mark of their journey together. All at once, a yawn escaped his lips, the weight of sleep closing in on him. He glanced at Lena, still peacefully enveloped in the soothing depths of her dreams. The memories of the day intertwined with his thoughts, as visions of shells and driftwood danced in his mind. He found peace in their shared experiences, the bond growing ever deeper with the passing of each day. The flames flickered less vigorously now, the heat of the fire softening as the night deepened. Aaron felt himself drawn toward sleep. his eyelids growing heavier with every breath. He settled back into the embrace of the chair, allowing the warmth to surround him, pulling him gently into a state of relaxation. The sound of the waves became a lullaby, mingling with the comforting crackles of the embers. As he drifted, he thought of dreams yet to come, where he and Lena would find their way to the lighthouse, climbing its winding staircase to see the world spread out before them like a painted canvas. In those dreams, the horizon would be endless and adventures waiting just beyond their reach. The night continued to cradle them, the ocean songs echoing softly in the background. Aaron felt safe, knowing that with Lena by his side, they could face whatever awaited them. Tomorrow would bring new treasures, new stories, and a renewed sense of wonder. Outside, the waves rhythmically washed ashore, creating a steady heartbeat against the silence of night. His thoughts melded with the sounds around him, creating a symphony of peace that lulled him deeper into rest. As the fire cast its final flickers, Aaron's breathing slowed, synchronizing with the soothing cadence of the ocean. The world outside blurred into soft shadows, and he surrendered fully to the embrace of sleep, dreaming of the adventures that awaited them beyond the dawn. Time continued its gentle passage, the night deepening further still. Eventually, the sounds of the ocean merged seamlessly with the soft breaths of Aaron and Lena, the cabin cradled in the sanctity of night. As the moon sailed high, the stars twinkled fiercely, casting their soft light over the earth, keeping watch over the little cabin nestled near the dunes. Within its wooden walls, the love and laughter shared by its inhabitants took root, growing stronger with each passing moment, safe from the vast world that thrived beyond the dunes. Hours trickled by, the nocturnal world bustling quietly outside. A gentle breeze crept through the open window, rustling the curtains softly, bringing with it the scent of salt and the whispers of the night. It mingled with the warm, earthly smell of the firewood, grounding the cabin within its cozy confines. In this sacred space, Aaron found solace. He drifted through a series of dreams woven from the fabric of their day, moments of sand between their toes, laughter spilling forth under the sun, and the promise of uncharted paths ahead. Serenity wrapped around him, and he felt safe, anchored by the bond they shared. As the moon shifted, casting a pale light across the room, the delicate interplay of shadows whispered of the adventures marked by their laughter and love, beckoning them toward the dawn. Silence enveloped the cabin, and time melted away like the melting candle wax on the nearby table. The gentle rise and fall of their breaths filled the air, a reminder of life and the small comforts they found in one another. Aaron slept soundly, dreams cradling him in a tender embrace of warmth and light. Here, in this small wooden house near the dunes, the world was vast yet familiar, filled with gentle adventures and the echoes of laughter, anchored firmly in the love they shared. Each breath was a promise of tomorrow, and the possibilities that awaited them on the horizon hung before them like the shimmering sea, inviting and endless. And so the night stretched on, a peaceful tapestry of stars and dreams enveloping the cabin in its soothing hold, where the gentle tides played their songs, and the fire flickered with a comforting glow, waiting patiently for the dawn earth's quiet warmth, feeling the world outside fade into a distant murmur. Minutes turned to hours as the night wore on, Aaron's consciousness drifting between reality and the soft embrace of dreams. He found himself standing on the beach again, the moonlight glistening on the water, illuminating the path before him. The gentle waves slapped at his feet, a rhythmic caress that felt both ancient and new, as though the ocean itself remembered him every time he came close. In this dream state, he wandered freely, collecting treasures from the shore, fragments of glass worn smooth by time, shells shimmering with hidden colors. A rustling sound stirred him, pulling him back to the warmth of the cabin. He opened his eyes slowly, the embers glowing faintly, casting soft shadows in the small room. The smell of salt still lingered in the air, a reminder of their evening stroll. He glanced over at Lena, her expression peaceful, her breathing deep and even, lost in her own world of dreams. The hour was late, but Aaron felt no urgency to sleep again. Instead, he rose from his chair and moved softly across the wooden floor, careful not to disturb the tranquil atmosphere. The cool air greeted him as he opened the window wider, letting in the scent of the sea mingled with the scent of pine from the distant trees. The ocean outside continued its eternal symphony, an infinite expanse that stirred something deep within him. Aaron's gaze drifted beyond the dunes, where the towering lighthouse stood resolute against the night sky, its silhouette a guardian of the coast. The lighthouse had stood there for decades, watching over countless souls who had passed through, guiding ships safely home. With a sudden spark of inspiration, he decided that tomorrow they would see it up close. It had been too long since they had climbed to its heights, where the view was said to be breathtaking, revealing both land and sea in a vast panorama. Perhaps they would bring their collected treasures and place them at the foot of the lighthouse, a simple offering to the spirit of the place. Feeling invigorated by the thought, he turned back to the warm glow of the fire and the comfort of the cabin. As he reached for a quilt draped over the back of the chair, he noticed a small ripple of movement from Lena. She stirred awake, blinking sleepily as she took in the dim light around them. "Where are you off to, my wandering sailor?" she asked, her voice soft and filled with warmth that seemed to melt into the cool air around them. "I was just thinking about tomorrow," he replied, tucking the quilt around her shoulders while pulling the other half around himself. "I thought we might visit the lighthouse again." Her eyes brightened, and a small smile crept across her lips. "I'd love that. It's been too long since we've climbed to the top. Do you remember the first time we went? The view took my breath away." Aaron nodded, a grin spreading across his face as he recalled their first visit, the way they had scrambled up the winding stairs, laughter echoing off the walls. The thrill of reaching the top had been matched only by the beauty of the horizon, the sun painting the sky in hues of orange and pink. "And if the weather is clear, we might even see the boats out on the water." "Yes, the boats," she mused, her eyes twinkling with nostalgia. "It's as though they become part of the landscape." As the conversation flowed, they shared memories of other trips to the coast, recounting the small details that made each experience unique, the way the seafoam tickled their toes, the laughter shared over picnic lunches nestled between the dunes, and the quiet moments spent just watching the sun dip below the horizon. Each story added another thread to the tapestry of their life together, woven with love and adventure. With the fire crackling gently, they found comfort in the soft atmosphere that enveloped them. The waves continued their rhythmic dance outside, a soothing backdrop to their shared words. The anticipation of the coming day filled the cabin with hope, and once again Aaron felt the weight of sleep tugging at him, pulling him toward the warmth of dreams. As Lena nestled closer into the quilt, he placed a tender kiss on her forehead. "Let's dream of the ocean tonight," he whispered, feeling a feeling of contentment settle in his heart. She smiled up at him before closing her eyes again, surrendering to sleep. Aaron retreated to his chair, content to watch the flickering firelight play across the walls as he let his thoughts drift. The air felt peaceful, the world outside was still, wrapped in the gentle embrace of night. He listened intently to the sounds of the shore, every wave a reminder of life's ebb and flow, the quiet pulse that connected him to all living things. He leaned back, allowing the warmth of the cabin and the comforting presence of Lena beside him to pull him into a drowsy state, where dreams lingered just beyond his reach. Here, in the cozy wooden house near the dunes, he felt anchored to the earth, safe from the worries of the world beyond the ocean. Time eased on, the night dimming further, a quiet lull settling over everything. The fire began to fade, and as it did, so too did Aaron's consciousness. He surrendered fully, his eyes drifting shut, and in the stillness he found a sanctuary, a place woven from love, adventure, and infinite possibilities. Beyond the glass of the window, the stars continued to glimmer brightly, and the moon hung low in the sky, casting its silver light across the landscape. The night wore on, a vast ocean of dreams awaiting them. The following hours passed like a gentle breath, the cabin cradled in silence. The waves continued their soft lullaby, whispering secrets only the night could hold, and the world outside remained a sanctuary of calm. As the night progressed, Aaron slipped deeper into slumber, each breath a quiet testament to the joy and security he felt in his heart. In his dreams, he walked along the shoreline again, hand in hand with Lena, discovering new treasures among the sands, laughing joyfully under the wide spanning sky. Time flowed, wrapped in a comforting stillness, where dreams mingled with the ocean's tide, and the boundaries of day and night blurred. The moon drifted slowly across the heavens, keeping watch over the little cabin, as the hours of the night settled into an easy rhythm, a dance that mirrored the waves. Eventually, a soft sigh broke through the quiet, a herald of the approaching dawn. The light began to shift ever so slightly, a change imperceptible, yet significant. Aaron stirred, though he remained cocooned in the warmth of his dreams for just a moment longer, lulled by the gentle rise and fall of the waves. With the first light creeping delicately over the horizon, he felt a warmth growing alongside it, and he opened his eyes to the soft pastel hues of morning spilling into the room. The sky transformed slowly, pinks and purples mingling as they stretched across the canvas of the dawn. Aaron turned to Lena, who still slept peacefully beside him, her face illuminated by the soft glow of the morning. He took a moment to appreciate the serene beauty of the moment, allowing himself to bask in the quiet joy of simply being there with her. The kettle had cooled by now, yet the thought of brewing fresh tea filled him with an eagerness for the day ahead. Carefully, he rose from his chair, mindful not to disturb Lena. The air was slightly cooler now, carrying the promise of the day to come, and he could already hear the distant call of seagulls greeting the morning. Stepping into the modest kitchen, he filled the kettle with fresh water before placing it on the stove, his mind wandering back to their plans for the day. The lighthouse, the treasure they would leave, and the beauty that awaited them all spun together like a gentle current in the back of his mind. As the kettle began to warm, he moved to the window, peering out to witness the world awakening outside. The ocean sparkled with early rays of sunlight, each crest of a wave alive with shimmering light. The dunes, shrouded in a golden mist, beckoned to him, whispering of adventure and discovery. He turned back, glancing to ensure Lena still slept soundly, and found the serene sight comforting. He let the moment wrap around him, allowing the warmth of love and anticipation to settle in his heart like the morning sun. When the kettle began to whistle softly, he returned to prepare their tea, letting the familiar scent fill the small cabin. Each moment felt precious, a treasure in its own right, and he savored the quiet before the world awakened fully. The ritual of preparing their morning drink brought a feeling of continuity to the day. He poured the steaming water over the loose leaves, watching as they unfurled and released their rich aroma. It mingled with the salt of the sea wafting through the window, creating a comforting blend that spoke of new beginnings. Just as the tea was ready, he turned back towards the main room, a soft smile on his face, and found Lena stirring awake. Her eyes blinked open, and she stretched like a cat, a soft yawn escaping her lips. "Good morning," Aaron said, handing her a warm cup of tea. "Good morning," she replied, accepting the cup with both hands, the warmth seeping into her skin. "What's on today's agenda?" "The lighthouse. We're going back to explore," he said, watching her face light up with excitement. "Perfect. I've been dreaming of that view," she said, taking a sip of tea and gazing out the window. With the promise of the day stretching before them, they settled into their chairs, savoring the warmth of their drinks and the comfort of one another's presence. The sun began to rise higher in the sky, illuminating the cabin in a warm glow, casting playful shadows that danced along the walls. As they finished their tea, Aaron felt a feeling of purpose welling up inside him. They would step beyond the threshold of their little wooden home, and the world would be waiting, full of wonders just waiting to be uncovered. In that moment, surrounded by the comfort of home and the adventure of the unknown, he felt anchored to both, wrapped in love and the promise of endless possibilities. He smiled, excitement bubbling within him, ready to embrace whatever awaited them beyond the dunes. With their cups finished and the morning sun embracing the cabin in a gentle warmth, Aaron and Lena set off towards the lighthouse, their hearts light with anticipation. The soft crunch of sand underfoot accompanied their laughter as they navigated the narrow path through the coastal dunes. Wildflowers dotted the landscape, adding splashes of color against the golden backdrop, each bloom a small marvel of nature's artistry. As they climbed the winding path toward the lighthouse, the salty breeze tousled their hair, carrying with it the distant cries of seagulls and the rhythmic sound of waves crashing against the rocks below. Aaron paused for a moment, taking in the expansive view of the coastline, where the ocean met the sky in a seamless blend of blue. The lighthouse stood tall, a guardian of the shore, its whitewashed walls gleaming in the sunlight. They reached the entrance and stepped inside, the air cool and fragrant with the scent of aged wood and brine. The caretaker greeted them with a warm smile, inviting them to explore at their leisure. Aaron and Lena climbed the spiral staircase, each step bringing them closer to the top, and with each turn, the excitement grew. At the summit, the world unfolded beneath them, a breathtaking panorama of sea and sand. Waves danced playfully against the rocks, and the horizon stretched endlessly. They stood together, side by side, arms resting on the railing as they marveled at the beauty around them. It never gets old, does it? Lena mused, her eyes sparkling with the reflection of sunlight. No, it doesn't, Aaron replied, his heart swelling with gratitude. They shared stories of past visits, the time they watched the sunset from this very spot, the way the sky turned to fire, painting the world in shades of orange and pink. Today, the sun was high, casting soft shadows on the sand below, promising warmth and joy. After savoring the view, they made their way back down, eager to wander the beach. As they strolled along the shoreline, the water lapped at their feet, cool and invigorating. They collected seashells, each one a piece of the coast story, and laughed as the waves chased them back, playfully dousing their ankles. Hours slipped by like the tide, each moment rich with laughter and whispered secrets. They built a small sand castle, the sun beating down on their backs, a light-hearted competition to see whose side could stand the test of the waves. Time seemed to melt away, the worries of the world forgotten in the embrace of the shore. As afternoon faded into dusk, the sky transformed into a canvas of deep purples and soft pinks, the sun dipping low on the horizon. They settled on the sand, side by side, watching the day slip quietly into the embrace of night. The horizon glimmered, and they shared stories of dreams and hopes, their voices mingling with the gentle lapping of the waves. "Do you think we'll always come here?" Lena asked, her voice soft and thoughtful. Aaron took a moment, looking out at the ocean, its vastness a reflection of their own journeys. "I think we will," he replied. "As long as we have each other, this place will always feel like home." As the last slivers of sunlight vanished, the stars began to twinkle above, punctuating the deepening blue of the night. They gathered their things, making their way back to the cabin, a familiar warmth surrounding them as they stepped inside. The lanterns were lit, filling the small space with a comforting glow. Aaron prepared a simple dinner while Lena set the table, their movements synchronized like the ebb and flow of the tide. They shared stories of their day, the laughter echoing softly against the wooden walls. After they finished eating, they sat together on the porch, wrapped in a cozy blanket, gazing at the starlit sky. "Look," Lena pointed, her finger tracing constellations. "That one is Orion." "I see it," Aaron smiled, leaning closer, their shoulders touching. They shared quiet moments, the sounds of the night settling around them, the symphony of crickets and the distant crash of waves providing a soothing backdrop. As midnight approached, they retreated inside, the cabin enveloping them in warmth. Aaron lit a small fire in the hearth, the soft crackle filling the space with a feeling of safety. They curled up on the sofa, wrapped in each other's arms, the comforting weight of the day settling into a gentle calm. As they drifted into silence, Aaron felt a serene stillness all around him. The day's adventures lay softly behind, like the ocean's waves retreating, leaving just a whisper of their presence. With Lena's soft breath beside him, he closed his eyes, surrendering to the peace that filled the room. In the quiet of the night, with the stars watching over them, Aaron let himself slip into slumber, the dreams of the ocean and the laughter of their day melding into a peaceful rest, a gentle lullaby to guide him into the depths of sleep.